Last session in the town of Warford was attacked. Your good friend Boris showed up again, surprisingly, and wanted vengeance on Ches, but Ches slept in. And yeah, you guys were victorious in defending the town, and there were some casualties, including Tom's wife. But yeah, so then the night passed, and you guys wake up in the inn again. And outside the day is bright, and again, in come just like yesterday, a day that didn't go very well. In comes Rosamund with her red hair. She opens the door, and she sees you all in bed and says, "It's time for the morning prayer."
The morning what now?
Is it a buff? I'll go if it gives me benefits. Which god is this again?
Here in Warford, we worship Sarenrae, of course.
Sure. Okay, yeah, let's go.
So this is not like most ceremonies. This is a ceremony to praise those who were lost yesterday in the fight.
Absolutely. I'll pay my respects. Chesley says in his thick accent, "Yeah, no, don't be silly. We should go. This sounds important." Any arguments? Should we not?
Yeah, I'm down for whatever. I don't care.
Okay.
I guess so.
And Bear, if at any point, I make a decision for Ches and you want to counter it or say, no, I don't think he's going to do that, feel free, just let me know, because it's, anyway.
So yeah, Rosamund looks at Sigbert, that guy's name, and she says that you seem to show interest in the ceremonies yesterday. So here, and she slides you a piece of paper. She says, "Read this with everyone towards the end. You'll know when." And then she says, "Yeah, come with me. Most of the town's already gathered." And she heads out the door and she walks towards the southeast. Who's driving Geralt? No, I'm just kidding.
I am, because I still got the rope around his neck. Bah.
You don't really have to bring Geralt if you don't want.
Okay, Geralt just sits outside and chews on the grass.
So yeah, Rosamund says this way. She shows you the back of the church. She hasn't seen before. And yeah, here you see most of the town is gathered. A lot of people that you know already, and a lot of people that you don't know. But there's a large stack of wood. One moment. I got dinnered. Sorry. But yeah, here you can see there's obviously some large piles of wood that they've stacked up a lot of just timber, kind of really rough logs in a big pile, and there's 3 corpses laid on the ground. Tom is here, and he looks absolutely heartbroken, and he's kneeling at the corpse of his lost wife, and tears stream down his face. And yeah, Erica's here. She seems like she's kind of in charge of the operation. And she's kind of organized all the wood and the thing. And so she comes up when she sees Rosamund and she says, "Everything here's ready. Shall we begin?" And Rosamund nods and gives her a gesture. And Erica moves over here. Not on the wood. Loading. So yeah, Rosamund comes up and there's a little box, like a little wooden box, like something. So she jumps up on her little soapbox and she addresses the whole crowd. She says, "Today we say goodbye to Leah, Greg, and Willis. Our town will long remember their sacrifice in the defense of Warford. A great evil visited us here yesterday. We know not its motives, but we dare not bury our dead. We will send them off as best we can, though. By Saren Ray's blessings, we still stand today. Our church still stands today, and Warford still stands today. And tomorrow will be a bright day, like all days under her Dawnflower's light. I ask you to join me now in a moment of reflection and silence for the lost." And yeah, Erica comes forward. She starts putting bodies on the fire, and she gets up here, and Tom kind of like gives her a look, and Tom puts the body up on the fire. He steps back. And Erica, takes out a little torch, and she lights the funeral pyre. Super, super realistic graphics.
Awesome.
And yeah, she backs up with Rosamund, and Rosamund looks over and makes eye contact with Sigbert and kind of nods. She says, "May the healing flames take their souls to Saren Ray. May the dawn flower blossom tomorrow." And Rosamund gives you a really nasty look across the crowd, but she kind of walks off, and so does Erica. And yeah, the blaze lights, and you can see the flames looking at the bodies, and Tom is just crying, tears stream down his face, and everybody's real somber, not talking much. And after a few minutes, the townspeople kind of start dispersing. They kind of go back to their homes and start going back about their lives. And Erica seems like she's kind of tending the pyre. And I would like to ask how you react to this situation, how your characters do. How does Zozo feel about this?
I take a will save to try to resist crying against myself. Can I do that?
You should just choose whether your character should cry or not.
He's fighting it really hard. Okay, fine. He chokes back the tears, but you see a tear drip from his eyes. He watches all the dead bodies go up in flames. You hear him whisper to himself, "I wanted to start the fire."
My character doesn't care one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm cool. People die every day.
Holy shit.
Well, my character's chaotic neutral, so
Same.
it's like, shit happens.
I am too, but you can still care a little. You don't have to not
He doesn't
give
know these
all-
people. He has got no attachment.
Chesley's neutral good self gives a solemn prayer to himself and into his own deity, praying for their forgiveness and safe passage to the realms beyond as they travel to the plains and beyond.
Pat, do you have a comment?
No, I'm not invested in these people.
You just stand there with your arms crossed like Ryu?
Mm-hmm.
They got what that was coming to them.
Should have learned how to fight.
Get good, nub.
You guys are savage, okay. So yeah, Rosamund goes back around to the front of the church, and on the way she says, meet me at the church when you guys are ready to talk business. And she kind of walks back up. Whoa, stretchy. She warps space and time and walks to the front of the church.
I'll go to the front of the church.
And yeah, what would you like to do? The town is your oyster.
Let's go talk to her. That sounds like some business. Might be some gold going on. What's up?
Yeah, she gave me a dirty look and I don't like that.
All right, I'll distract her. You ransack the church.
I'm not killing her. I just want to know why she gave me a dirty look at a funeral.
She gave Chaz the dirty look, I think. Unless I said it wrong.
You just said gave a dirty look.
Mm-hmm. You didn't specify anyone?
I meant to specify Ches. My mistake if I did.
Okay,
Oh.
fair enough. Then I'm not mad.
She could have given Gerald a dirty
Chaz
look.
missed his cue,
Oh, sorry. What was it?
but it's okay. No, it's okay. These actions have repercussions.
Repercussions?
It's not like he's here to actually react upon it.
I know, but he he knows. So yeah, you're going to talk to Rosamund in the front of the church?
Yes, Chesley specifically goes up to Rosamund and goes to try to talk to her after noticing the dirty look. Where'd she go?
Didn't you also say that she had something to talk to us about?
So yeah, Rosamund says yes, the business, of course. If you guys remember, you promised yesterday that you would be willing to bring a message to the head church near here to bring news of these events.
Did we?
Yes, before the fire broke out and everything.
I mean, if you've got something more important to do, you're welcome.
No. It's just I don't remember.
Okay. Very understandable. It's been a stressing time for all of us.
Yes.
Chesley looks inquisitively and asks, "What's the problem? I noticed you were giving me a dirty look there earlier."
Well, I shared with you the prayer, but tried to signal when it was time, but you didn't join us in the final blessing. But it's okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't really. Oh fuck.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, definitely next time. Absolutely, he says. He looks embarrassed because someone else is in control secretly.
So, of course, the message. I have this scroll here, and I'm testing this out for the first time. Does this work?
Yep.
Hey.
Okay, so she hands you a scroll, and the scroll has 7 wax seals on it. And she says, I need you to deliver this message to Willerick at the head temple in Reminster. It's the nearest big town to the north of here. It's very important that he knows what happened here.
7 seals is a bit much.
And what was his name?
Willerick.
Willerick?
Yep. He's the head priest of the church in town. He'll be easy to find. I'll be very interested to know of this news. It's very troubling. And as payment for you guys have just been so good in the town, and you're agreeing to do this. I've arranged with old Albert down the road for horses for you all. And I've also prepared some scrolls. The road around here is full of dangers, and these might help.
Thank you. These scrolls and potions will come in quite handy.
She gives you 3 scrolls of remove disease and 2 scrolls of lesser restoration.
Those scrolls go right into Chesley character's pocket, unless anyone else can cast Divine.
Nope.
All right. So
don't think so.
So then into Chesley's pocket it goes for some free casts of Remove Disease and Lesser Restoration. And the Lesser Restoration, that is by itself a really great item to have. And Chesley looks and holds the scrolls and goes, "Oh, these will serve us greatly. Thank you." He gives a great thanks. Lesser Restoration.
Cool. I'm glad that thing worked. I should be able to see it as like a character sheet item now, I think, or it's like next to your character sheet.
I'm looking.
That's cool. And so Rosamund then says, do you plan to leave town soon, or do you have any other business here? It's about a 3-day ride to Reminster, so you may want to make sure that you have enough supplies for the trip. I would tell you to go to Tom, but Tom is obviously not in a very good state right now.
Maybe we should go buy some more candles. Go with the 5 dozen. I don't know if it's enough.
Rosamund points out that Though Tom is grieving his loss pretty openly, he has family, and so you might be able to talk them into selling some supplies.
I'm cool. I'm ready to go.
So speaking as a DM, it's a 3-day trip. You're expected to have about 1 ration every day. That may be 2 in case of certain events. And that's about it, I would say. I think you all probably have enough like tents and whatever to be able to camp out. And yeah, she's provided horses.
I mean, I've got all my stuff in 9 days rations. I'm ready to go. Get paid.
Yeah, same.
Let me check my inventory here real quick. Rations. Yeah, I'm good on rations, but Chez's inventory is empty. So Chesley spends 2 silver pieces and buys how much for a week's worth of rations?
I'm just like ruling that the 1 ration costs 1 gold, and a ration is a day. It's not a week.
Oh, okay. Well, then 7 gold it is then. Okay.
Has people been keeping up with their gold?
See.
Yeah, I believe so.
I sent you a message directly, Bear. Just an on the side note.
Yeah, he did pick some feats, but yeah, he doesn't put his spells in this thing because he's just.
He didn't even pick a domain.
Just use the cleric to heal. You know, that's all he does.
Yeah.
He's a cleric mage.
Yeah, just keep him as the back of the line healer for now.
He just gestures at his spell list, and everyone's healed.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, so Rosamund sees you guys. Look like you're pretty prepared. You seem to have a bunch of candles and rations and stuff ready to go.
Yep.
She points out that you have to follow the road west from Warthford till you hit the main road, and then you follow it north all the way to Reminster. And not far down the road to the north, you'll find the shrine. And I guess it was a week, so speaking as a DM now, the church had a mission for you to go clear out a shrine, pretty much. That was also mentioned in last session, but probably forgotten due to time. You guys, were told that the shrine was on the way to Reminster. And yeah, you can choose to empty it out or not. But Rosamund would very much appreciate it. They hope to open up the shrine again so that Erica can go work there and collect gold from travelers as they stay at the shrine.
Hey, if we can get a cut out of that, hell yeah, let's do it.
I mean, it's a church. They probably don't have much money to pay us to be in one.
Yep.
I'm sure we could work something out. Maybe not monetarily, but through blessings or holy waters. We desperately need the gold.
How about what we find in said church is ours?
Can I have anything you find in there? It's all been lost to evil, probably.
Fair enough. All right, everybody ready, boys?
Let's do it.
Yep. Sorry, I got
just
hit up.
about. I'm gonna go back behind the inn and see if I can find a fairly smooth stone or something. And
there's some pebbles around here. You found a couple.
I need a sizable one. Roughly.
There's a few that are the size of your thumbnail, or
well, I don't mean like a little stone. I mean like. All right, I collect as many as I can, make a pile of them. I put down another candle and I light it, and then I go back to the group.
Okay, is that your character showing something?
Maybe.
What?
Okay. So yeah, you all saw SB kind of disappear around the corner of the inn, and he came back a few moments later.
Okay, I'm ready.
He just really likes candles.
So I don't think your characters really would know that he lit a candle back there, but because he went out of sight. But
Yep, nobody came with.
so yeah, you don't know what he did back there. He just left for a minute and he came back a few minutes
It's like,
later.
oh, sorry guys, I just had to take a quick leak.
Okay, so everybody's ready.
Okay. Yeah, would you like to leave on the adventure to the northwest road exit with your magic horses that don't exist?
Yes.
Good to go. What are we gonna do about
Man.
Geralt? Are we gonna just strap him across the horse, or we're gonna lead him?
Geralt can ride a horse on his own well enough. You're welcome to throw him over your shoulder.
Well, I was just gonna say throw him over the horse. You know, 2 legs in front, 2 legs in back.
Oh, you mean the goat? Okay, yeah. I mean the goat can come along for sure. I'm control Ving some horses for y'all. Okay, Geralt claims his horse. He's a skilled rider.
I'm sure Geralt can ride with one of us.
Ah, he's got his own horse. He's good.
I need a horse hoof sound effect right here. It's perfect.
Clip clop.
Nice, nice. Okay. Okay, so yeah, you leave the town and set out. It's kind of early in the day, and you're going down a nice forested path through the woods, west down the road. No drawn penises. God damn it! Don't make me pull this horse over.
All of a sudden, 2 beholders showed right up.
As your horses, go through the forest, there's a bunch of crunchy leaves that are crunching underneath the woods, underneath the hoofs. And you can hear in the woods, it's just kind of as you travel, every once in a while, something scurries off like a squirrel or a rabbit. And yeah, the road's real shady, and there's these big trees, like the road's been here for a long time. And yeah, it goes into the distance. And yeah, so you travel for some time, some hours on your horsebacks, as you guys are, used to doing by now, being well-traveled adventurers in your days before existence. And you come across a large boulder. It's about 8 foot tall. And as you get close to it, maybe about 50 feet away, you can see this big rock boulder. It's kind of a it doesn't look like the little rocks that are around on the ground. It's definitely kind of weird looking. And as you get closer, you can see that this boulder is just absolutely covered with names, like graffiti. Like people have sat here with a knife or something and chipped their names into it. You can see a lot of weird names you don't recognize, like Eldorf and Enil and Mallow. And then you can spot Bragad's name. But the whole thing is just covered with names. It's real polished and looks like it would be smooth. What would you like to do? Yeah, I mean, you could approach the rock, you could take a closer look, or you could just ignore the rock and keep moving.
I guess we'll take a closer look, or at least I will.
Okay, so
Yep.
yeah, I mean, as you get closer, now you're like a couple of feet from it, and you can see that, yeah, it just looks like the names are engraved in there really expertly. Like somebody had a chisel or something. But with how many names here, you would think that it's kind of like graffiti, like everybody came along and wrote their name. But the way the names are in there don't look like, it looks like a very skilled person engraved each of these names. but they're all written on there like crisscross. Like there's no order. They're not in straight lines or anything. Some of them are upside down even. They're just all over on this rock.
Can I look around to see if anyone else is like nearby this rock, or see any unusual traps or other possible enchantments?
Yeah, sure. Roll a perception check.
Okay. Where are my skills? The rogue tries to perceive. Where'd the chat go?
Yeah, your expert rogue eye, looks around in the woods, but you don't really see anything, even with standing really still and trying to look for, predators or anything like that. You can't spot anything around that looks like a trap or any kind of creature. You can definitely sense that the rock is some kind of, ancient thing. Looks like it's been here forever. It's probably magical.
Chesley's character casts Detect Magic. So
the rock is very much magic, and when you cast, you can see that like the Detect Magic highlights that there's handprints all over this rock. Like people, and the handprints are all different sizes, so it seems like everybody's different hand kind of touched this rock. Some dwarf hands and some human hands and some weird hands you don't recognize.
Okay. Interesting. Almost like it's a trap. Oh no.
I go up and touch the rock.
Oh, what are you doing? I was going to try and identify it first. Too late. All right.
Yeah, as you reach out to the rock, the names kind of start glowing towards where your hand is. And as your hand touches the rock, you can see a bright kind of red part of the rock kind of lights up. And you see kind of that same carving that you're used to seeing. And it's just mismatched over the top of a bunch of other words. But you see the word Taliesin show up on the rock. And then the color kind of fades back out. You can see your name still written there. It's just kind of black now and fading in with the background.
Can any of the spellcasters do an identify to see what kind of magic it is or if it's harmful?
Nope.
No?
But yeah, as far as you can tell,
it's a higher level shit.
Now he's got his hand off it and doesn't. You can ask him how he feels.
Okay. Me and my butterfingers keeping clicking on buttons I'm not supposed to. So how do you feel after that, Taliesin?
I don't know. DM, how do I feel?
You don't feel anything special, right? I mean, you just touched the rock, and
I feel really normal
when you touched
it, fine.
And your name showed up.
I don't want anything to do with that rock.
Now here's a question. Where would my name be per se on the rock? Because I'm assuming all the names are like all facing the same direction.
No, I mean some of them are like angled one way, and some are they're not in the straight lines at all. They're all on top of each other and angled. Your name is kind of angled from the top left to the bottom right, and it's about at eye level.
All right. Pull out a candle and then light one there. I just get back on the horse.
Okay, you're gonna like put it on the rock?
Yeah, like a little small cluster of rocks at the bottom and the base or something.
Okay.
I take out a copper a silver coin, and I put it on the rock.
Nothing happens.
I take it back.
As you reach to touch the coin to pick it back up, you touch the rock, and the same thing happens. There's like a red spot that happens, and your name shows up on the side of the rock.
Damn it!
Apotham.
No, I'm cursed. Something bad happened.
It's not Apotham, it's McStabby or whatever.
Yeah, it actually shows up Apotham, but you guys all think his name is McStabby.
Yeah, that's right. Shit, my name. No, it's not what you think. That's not my name. You stupid rock, you got it wrong. What the hell?
Like,
What a liar.
this is
Stabby
an out of
McStabber.
character. This is an out of character question to Apotham. Is that actually your character's name? Is Apotham?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Man, I
I was
bluffed so
consistent.
well. It actually worked.
He's consistent in his different universe names.
Yeah, I was just like, it's like, wait.
So yeah, everybody kind of who was paying attention pretty much realized that your name is not Stabby and now it's Apotham.
I'm
Learn
not
something
bluffing
new
out
every
of
day.
that one. Fuck.
Okay, yeah, you can keep fucking with the rock, or you could keep going on the road. The breeze kind of passes through the woods, and you can just kind of hear the leaves rustle.
I'm kind of done with the rock.
Yeah, let's get the hell out of here.
I need more horse hoof sound effects.
I kicked the
You're
rock
good at
as I walk
those.
away.
You just have like coconut shells handy, or are you like using your belly or something?
Use my hands.
He cups his hands and he claps.
It's pretty
Yep.
good. So yeah, you guys on your horses, kind of strolling through the pretty woods here. Just strolling down the woods. Nothing really happens, but you come up to a part of the main road. Actually, the smaller road you're on hits a much larger road. It's about twice or 2 or 3 times the size you've been on. It's obviously kind of taken care of, like there's gravel and stuff here instead of it just being kind of a dirt, muddy path. And it goes towards the north. I guess I can do this.
Yippee!
You've achieved Final Fantasy World Map status. This is where you are. You see the red square.
Yep.
I apologize because my MS Paint skills are lacking. But yeah, you've seen some things over here, right? Like Sithers Field and the ruins. And yeah, heading north. You can, now you kind of know, since she gave you the idea, you know what's up more into the north. And yeah, the day goes on, and you've been traveling for most of the day, right? And you had the one kind of encounter. You spent a couple hours screwing with the rock. And now the day is kind of winding down, right? It's kind of afternoon. The sun's starting to head down. And in the distance, you kind of hear like a snarl. And you can make a perception check. Whoever. Probably just one person who has the highest would be best. But you're all welcome to do this.
I think that takes it.
No need.
Wow. Holy crap. Okay. I'll take it. Man, that Ion
I'll do it
stone
just
is
for the hell
great.
of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can all feel free to roll for sure.
I want to
I guess that's
roll.
probably funner.
Is that a natural 20? I can't tell. I think it is. Yeah, it is. That was a nat 20.
There's no such thing as a crit on a skill check, so
Interesting.
that's good. But there's no special bonus.
Yeah, I think
It can be if you want it to be.
I think if your result
Well,
has
yeah.
that highlight around it, I think it's a nat 20 for a critical.
Okay. Anyway, it's actually a total of 28, I think, because of the Ion Stone.
Okay, so yeah, in the distance, you can see down the road what appears to be some kind of dog. It looks very dog-like in nature, but it's huge. It's like a dire wolf. It's like 10 foot tall.
Is there any cover that I can hide behind? Or, well...
Well, we got horses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose to, like, you can see them in the distance. They for sure are kind of aware of you already, but, you know, now you see them. They seem to be busy. There's 2 in the distance, and they seem to have something on the ground that one of them is preoccupied with, while the second one is obviously, like, aware of you guys coming down the road and looking.
Fuck that, I ain't no bitch. Let's go.
Well, there's no point fighting if they're not going to attack and if they don't have whatever it is that they're eating of any significance to us.
Am I able to make out what's on the ground?
Oh, it just looks like a humanoid kind of figure
Oh, it's a humanoid kind of figure.
with some kind of human thing on the ground that they're chewing on.
That makes me
Okay.
feel all nice and warm and fuzzy inside. How close are we at this point?
I'm interested now.
You are about 60 feet away.
Okie dokie. I, as a preemptive thing, Cuthbert, right as he's going to ready a spell, he's going to ready bless.
I mean, I don't think that's really a thing in Pathfinder.
Well,
I mean, you can cast Bless, right?
I guess what I'm saying is that he prepares the action to cast bless at the start of combat. I guess is like when combat initiates. Can set an option there?
Yeah,
maybe?
sure.
Okay. That's basically what I'm trying to do, just so that way he's not wasting rounds.
Okay, so yeah, the wolf in the distance sees you guys, can't really make up your mind, and you got off your horses, and he attacks.
Okay.
And that's a roll initiative.
And so everybody's got bless, so you've got a +1 morale bonus to
Yep.
accuracy and will saves, or
Okay, click the
and
thing.
saves. Oh yeah, I have to click the thing, don't I? That's right, that's a thing in this.
Can we get a new map?
Yes, one moment.
How do I? It doesn't. Huh?
So when you got to wait till I get a map. 1 second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I kind of need a token.
Okay, yeah. So click your token, and then on the top left there should be an initiative button.
Chesley gets a 5.
At least we're all close.
I got a 16. Yeah, man, I got the RNGesus is on my side.
Yeah, you guys got here, but the dog was for sure like attacking you, pretty much because you were chilling. So the dog goes first. I have to do the sort. That one.
How the hell do I roll a 5 and get second initiative?
Okay, so bless is up, and it lasts for 1 minute a level. So this lasts for 2 minutes or 20 rounds.
Bless is pretty. Yeah, I mean, so bless is pretty much just going to be this whole combat. Everybody gets +1 on, I think, just your attacks. I don't think it's also.
It's only on accuracy or attack rolls, and on saving throws against fear are the only two things that you benefit. Sweet.
Okay, so yeah, this dog, he just saw you guys coming down the hallway. Now that he's kind of within your range, you can see he's like 4 foot tall. He's covered with black hair, and this dog has 2 heads. Its eyes are really black, and its fur is really black. And through its open mouth, you can see it kind of looks like it has bugs in its mouth or something like that. And its 2 dog faces are just coated with blood, like just dripping blood all over. There's chunks of stuff. And it snarls and it charges. But it cannot get close enough. And yeah, and it's kind of like both the dogs at the same time are kind of like, wow, like different kind of tones. And Apotham, it's your turn.
Sweet. I only have 1 attack right now, if I remember right. Oh wait, no, I do have 2 attacks, but I'm gonna move up to here and face him like so, and ready an attack for when he gets in range.
Okay.
And I'm gonna end my turn.
Okay. In the distance, where you can see a little more clearly now, you can see that on the ground there's a bugbear, which is kind of like a big goblin with a big monstrous goblin. and he's kind of half bitten to death. And the dog that was there on top of him biting him, it had like one head was biting its arm and the other head was biting its chest. It notices you guys over there and it does the same thing, like wow, and it jumps that far. And he kind of growls too. He can't get in distance, but he's all sprung up, like he looks like a, even though he's a dog, he's all sprung up like he's ready to jump. Next is Uruk Bark.
Man, I ain't no bitch. What's up?
I ain't scared of no dog.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Dog?
So let's see. How crazy do you want to get? I'm gonna charge the first dog, so I can get a bonus to attack.
Sure. Well, now Apotham is in your way, but yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, you can just do it because Apotham's a thief, and there's probably a rule for that. I'll make a note. But yes, charge. You get +2 on your accuracy, and then you get -2 AC till the next round.
I almost put -32. That would have been very bad. All right, so 1 round only, right?
Yep.
All right. So with the bless, that puts me at +3, and I'm going to power attack.
Okay, so yeah, you're just +1 from
That
this.
power attack.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So yeah, you swing the shit out of that greatsword, and it just comes right in this dog. Is kind of like his spine splits into two necks, and your sword comes down right in between the two spines, and it does that dog yarp thing, you know. And that really hurt the pupper.
Told you I ain't no bitch. All right, I'm good.
Okay, great turn. Okay, Ches, you're up. Act like Ches
Chesley,
quick.
Chesley needs to determine if they're undead. He's got to come up with a way to determine if these enemies are undead. Can he?
Calculating. These are not undead. So make a perception check. Ooh, okay. You can tell it's a dog. It's not undead, but it's very, very mangy, and it seems like it's probably about to die. And you know, taking a close eye, you're kind of a healer, and you know a little bit about medicine and a little bit about veterinary stuff from that. But like, you can see that the dog is just like, he's got bugs on him, he's got worms on him in his mouth, he's got all kinds of like eggs and stuff. Man, and he looks like he's just really mangy. Like you don't want him to bite.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just disease, not undead. Had me do a double take there for a minute.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that thing.
Chesley's character moves up. What is his remove? 20 feet, I think. So he's gonna
20. I think.
2, 3, and 4, and he is going to take a defensive stance. Is that an option of attack?
Oh my god, he's using mechanics. It is.
Okay, I always get the whether or not that's a full round or if it's partial defensive if you move, and then it's full defensive if you don't move is what I think it is. But I can't remember if they make that distinction in Pathfinder. What I'm forgetting.
I think it's called total defense. And yeah, you can defend yourself as a standard action, +4 bonus to AC for 1 round.
Sweet, that's exactly what I want.
Okay, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, it's a standard action too, so you can move and do that. Okay, and that was Chez's turn. He rushes forward and he's got his shield, like his wooden shield, and he like takes a knee and he holds the shield forward and he looks all cool.
Hi, laddie, I'm right behind you. Don't worry, I'll patch you up.
That was very Reinhardt, but it was good, yeah. And then next up is SP.
What is Reinhardt? Oh man. Anyway.
All right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 5. All right, there. Am I in reach of the creature right here or no?
Yes.
All right. I will first off swing my sword one-handed.
And you have a +1 from the bless.
So
11. One moment. I did not have this sheet open. 11 does not hit, but you can see your sword get really close. Like you chopped off some fur and some bugs went flying.
all right, and then I'm going to cast my shocking grasp, and I'm aware that I am right next to it. So would that be attack of opportunity?
I think so. Yes, casting next to it and provokes an attack of opportunity.
All right, and then
let me roll that 1 second because I don't. This is gonna be -2, I believe.
Is there not a way to cast defensively?
there is.
There is, if you make that decision, right? I don't think you did.
No, I didn't.
That's right. I'm looking for concentration. I don't see it on the skill list.
So he makes a swing at you. 14 is his. What is your AC?
My AC is 15.
Okay, so he misses. His claw kind of comes flying by you, but luckily does not hit.
All right, and
so then you just cast the spell as usual.
No. I infuse it with my weapon, and then take another swing.
Okay.
That's how the Magus works.
Roll again to hit that, though, don't you?
Yep.
Okay.
God damn it.
So you did 8, and you have the +1, so that's 9. But your sword, even though it's really cool and covered in lightning, does not hit the dog.
All right, at least I still have the lightning for next turn.
Yeah, I guess your sword is still lightning. That's pretty cool.
Yep, it stays like that till it hits something.
See, but yeah, where I was confused there is that your spell worked. You could have done 1d6 per caster level, 2d6, right?
I'm trying to kill it.
Instead, you choose the riskier swing that would have done 2d6 plus your d8 or something.
It would have done my melee plus my spell.
Yeah, that was interesting. Cool. I'm glad to see your guy doing stuff. I'm learning.
Oh, I would have gotten a -2 as well to the attacks anyway, so.
Out of the darkness, which is like my favorite phrase so far.
Forgot about that.
D&D. Comes another dog, and it kind of sees its friend, and it kind of snarls, and they kind of kiss, and it's disgusting because there's worms everywhere, but they like look at you guys and snarl. Pat, your turn.
Was it 5 squares for movement? Yeah.
30 feet, 6 squares.
6 squares. Okay. We'll move behind SB. And then... I'm not sure how that works.
What?
I want to backflip behind the dog.
That's gonna be an acrobatics check.
So how much
I'm aware.
did you make, right?
I have 30 movements.
I mean, like how much did you move already? You have 30 left?
Yeah, I was going to double move into action.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? And then I would like to move there.
The other thing I was going to suggest was your cool headband.
Is it recharged?
Yes, the day is different, and when you woke up in the inn, you noticed that the crystal was glowing and fiery.
Okay. so I can use a key point.
I linked you there.
Okay.
You can make another attack. You can move another 20 feet, or you can get 4 AC. This is a perfect opportunity to move another 20 feet and to go hit
Yeah.
that guy.
This list.
I'll move beside the dog, and then I'm gonna hit him using
So, yeah.
the thing.
Pat runs pretty far, and then you can see he kind of runs out of juice, but then he pumps his fists, and like his headband blows in the wind, and he takes a bunch more steps. And you get a 11, I think, because of the bonus.
Oh yeah, sorry, forgot to put 2.
No, it's okay. But 11 does not hit. Your fist kind of swings by the dog. Looked like it would have been really squishy and gross if you did punch him, but it missed. So yeah, it's this dog's turn, and this dog is not having a very good time. There's all kinds of people surrounding it. He is going to take a dog 5-foot step to the downwards to kind of break range, and then he's going to take 2 bites at Rupar.
Bring that shit on, bruh.
He got a 11 and a 12.
So my AC is 13.
Oh, so neither of his attacks hit you. His claws and his teeth go right against your armor, and he leaves a bunch of bugs and stuff smushed on your armor. It's disgusting.
Yeah, that chain shirt you gave me saved me.
These guys are pretty nasty. I guess that was like the attack roll you saw. Apotham, you're up.
Sweet.
That's what's weird, right? Like I have to spoil that with roll 20, you know?
I step up, I swing with my main weapon. Actually, I guess from here, I could tumble. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I can't flank. Never mind. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna swing with my rapier. Oh, wrong button. There we go. I miss. Whiff.
Sorry, taking a note. Yes, you whiff. You whip it. You do a really cool like rogue combat roll, and you draw your rapier, and you just completely whiff. Your sword goes right in between the 2 heads, like where there's just air.
Okay.
So yeah, it's this dog's turn, and this dog sees Pat over there trying to punch its dog companion, and so it charges over there with a dog charge attack, which is a 14. What is your AC?
Loading. You said 14? 14
Yes,
is my
14.
armor class.
Um,
Pretty sure we discussed it.
This hits.
This hits. You take 4 damage, and you have to make a fortitude save. Okay, so yeah, the dog, he comes running at you. He jumped like 2 bounding leaps, and he lands on the ground, and one of the dog heads bites at your arm and makes contact, and you can feel the teeth like going into your skin, but you also feel something like wriggling. But like the dog lets go, and you see a bunch of bugs, and you like swing your arm around and do a crazy punch, and the bugs all go flying, and you're safe.
No parasites.
Next up is Root Bar.
Oh, dang again.
These
Alright.
dogs are biting your friends, and there's bugs everywhere. What are you gonna do?
All right. Well, let's see.
Finish chopping the 1 in half.
Yeah, basically. Let's go attack there. We're just gonna do a regular attack. No power attack.
Yeah,
Still
that's
got
how you do it.
+1 from Bless.
Oop,
Yup.
there we go. It's lagging. Okay.
So
You
14.
roll a 14.
No, I've
14 hits.
I already got the +1 added in, so it's just a 13.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I've got it on.
So yeah, your great sword again comes down right in between the two dog like spines, and you cut right through. And the spine kind of splits in half. You can see in there. It's disgusting. There's kind of half a spine on each side, and both the puppers just like tongues fall out of their mouth, and their heads smack into the ground, and a bunch of bugs like crawl everywhere. It's disgusting.
Ew.
Yeah, take that, you fucking doggos.
Okay, is that the end of your turn?
Yep.
Next up is Ches.
Pat, how you doing on health? Pat?
Patikins?
Pat did.
He's dead, Jim. Or his mic is muted.
No.
Yeah. But he's fine. He only took 4 points of damage.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna worry about it then. Well, there's not really much else I can really do at the moment. I'm gonna just 1, 2, 3, 4.
You gotta make a Ches pun. Quick.
I'm bad at them. Fuck. That
Just
was-
should be here soon.
It should be. That was as smooth as a rocky road or gravel road. There, yeah. See, I even fucked it up just for Ches. Ches would laugh at me right now in his typical Ches way. Be like, "Oh, Alex, don't worry."
Oh, Alex. I've listened to your voices for years, and this is what I get.
Yeah, I know, right?
Next up is Espy. Your turn.
And Chesley takes a partial defensive stance.
All right. First off, I need to clarify something because I accidentally messed up. So it's up to you. Do what I did was a full round action, so I wouldn't have been able to move.
Yeah.
You
So-
could 5-foot step and do that, but yeah, if you moved.
Yeah.
That's
So
okay.
if you
We're
still want me to consume the spell and get rid of the lightning, that's fine.
So that was spell combat, right?
Yeah.
Well, if for your touch spells, you don't take attacks of opportunity to do a touch spell. I actually was just reading it. And the only time you're going to take that attack is if you're not using the touch spell on the enemy, you're using it for yourself. So really, when you're in that kind of range, it makes more sense to use it as just a normal touch spell than to apply it to your weapon. Just as a suggestion.
Eh.
You don't have to, but it's just,
All right. Well.
Yeah, ideally you want to like move up and cast it on your sword and then step in and hit him.
yeah.
But it's fine. We're all learning. And I
Uh,
took a note there that spell combat's a 4-round action.
yeah. But so, do you want me to get rid of the lightning and still
Oh,
get rid of
yeah.
the point?
Yes,
All
let's
right.
say your sword is not lightning anymore, but it's
All right.
missed.
Okay. I'm just gonna. Okay. I'm gonna cast on myself. Shield gives me +4 to AC.
For how long?
Give me a second.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep track of stuff better.
It's important. You said shield. It's 1 minute a level.
Yep.
So 2 minutes.
So most of the combat, yeah. So
Yep. And then I guess take that 5-foot whatever
5-foot step.
and just go right there and get in between Chaz and the wolf, and I guess that's it.
Perfect.
Oh. Next up is the other dog.
Oh, I thought the
A dog moves up and tries to do both of his heads come flying at you, SB.
go ahead. Ooh, 1 hit.
What's your AC?
19.
Oh damn, you tanky. Okay, so yes, one does 7 damage, and then so then the monsters have a special ability trip, which is the thing you can try to do too. But they get it like if their attack hits, they automatically get a trip attempt, which is their CMD versus their CMB versus your CMD. So you have to see what your CMD is. Even though your AC is 19, right? This is not against your AC. This is against your CMD.
CMD is 15.
And that hits, right? I think. Just like
I
AC.
believe so.
Yeah,
if
it does.
it's equal, it hits.
So so you're tripped. You are prone now, which will make boot, I guess. Boot sounds good. And the dog also leave some worms and shit. You got to make a fortitude save. Ooh, luckily, you can flick off the worms quick enough, and they don't get to like burrow into you.
That save is probably like a 15 or 14 or something.
Probably a 15 or
That's
16.
right there. That's right there.
Oh,
His turn.
It's 10. Never mind. I'm over.
Pat, your turn. There's dogs everywhere biting your friends. You muted, bro. What you spraying?
Oh fuck! I forgot I was muted. Turn to the dog beside me and for a little area blows. Good shit.
I think you hit him at least once.
You got a +1, I think, as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so both of those hit.
Sweet.
With the power of your cool headband, your fists both just kind of rocking out. You just do 2 punches at the same time. It's absolutely insane. And both the punches hit right in the pupper, right in his pupper mouth, and like a bunch of eggs go flying. It's disgusting.
How can you do this and eat?
The next is a Pathfinder. What'd you say?
Can you do this and eat food?
I'm
So
sorry.
fucking
I'm hungry, and I got dinnered.
I know. You're describing it so well.
Am I lip smacking, or I don't know?
No, the description of the dog, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Like, my mental visualization is like, I could not eat on that.
Where am I? Oh, I'm over
You're
here.
in the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, you're behind the dead dog.
You can move the dead dog, yeah.
4,
just to make it clear.
5. Okay, so if I move here, I'm within attack range. I need to do an acrobatics check to land here. So I don't get an attack of opportunity. Or am I flanking from here? That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to flank. I think I'm flanking.
You draw a line from the dude to the dude, and I don't think that you are quite flanking yet.
Yeah, I need to acrobatics and tumble to this tile here without taking an attack of opportunity. That's gonna be
squares. I got it. It's move through a threat near opponents. Yeah, the DC is the combat maneuver defense. The opponent's CMD.
Oh wow, that's different in this. All right, cool. Well, I got +8, so let's see what happens.
Okay.
Do I get it?
You got +8 in there already.
Yeah,
I think
that's
Bless makes your acrobatics +1 as well, doesn't it?
No, just attack rolls and rolls against save. You're that's a different form of bless. That's a higher level one.
Does just barely make the check.
Sweet. So then from here, I'm going to attack. I am flanking, so I get +2.
He also has -2 because he charged, so you get +4.
Oh wow. Okay. So here we go. So that's a 15. +1 from bless makes it 16. I hit and I do 4 damage.
16 hits, and 4 damage. The rapier stabs right into the back of the pupper. You didn't even see it coming.
Wait, where's my... Oh, no. I didn't roll the sneak attack. Shit, it's not on here. Oh, shit.
You can roll that sneak attack too, I guess, because it's a flank, right?
Yeah, it is. It's I believe it's just 1d6, so I'll just roll that manually. Okay, so I did 8 damage total.
So yeah, you can see your rapier kind of came right in the dog, right in his behind, and he didn't expect that at all. He's very bloodied.
Need to add a weapon.
This dog here, yeah, he's got all these people trying to bite him and stuff. This guy just bit him from behind, just stabbed him right in the behind, and so he turns around and he attacks Apothecary with both of his dog bites.
Ooh.
And that's a crit, actually.
No, that's bad. That's really bad.
So that doubles, and it was an 8 too. So it's the base of it doubles. So the 7 gets doubled to 14 plus 1 is 15 damage.
Ow. Do I take a
And-
save or anything, like a fortitude, since that was more than half my health?
Nope, that's a D&D thing.
Oh. Alright, so I'm down to 5 health now.
Your CMD is probably also, it's higher than 7. I think it's base 10,
Yes.
so you're good.
Yeah,
And
my
then,
CMD.
since he hits you, you have to make a fortitude save.
Okay. Fort save. Fort. Ha! Of course. I get fucked.
So yeah, the dog, and it's just kind of last barky glory, like bites into your. You hit him so hard, he was so upset, he whipped right around and bit you right back so hard. You can feel the worms like wiggle in your veins.
No, get him out, please. Someone.
I need a bug icon. Radioactive is pretty good.
Ow.
I mean, the spider web would also work.
One moment.
What is the range on positive energy?
Or the snail.
Guess what Ches said last time?
30 feet. You're definitely within 30 feet of me.
Okay, so that was the dog. Next is Big J. There's the one dog, he's limping really bad, and then the other dog, he seems like he's still fine.
Well, this bastard just bit somebody, fucked him up. I'm gonna 5-step there. That's reach, right?
Yep.
This diagonal, this meat square.
Yeah, he's diagonal. He shouldn't be probably.
Yeah. And we're just gonna regular attack because he's almost dead. +1 is already added in.
Ooh.
So yeah, your greatsword just comes right down again. Like, it doesn't go in between the dog's necks this time because you're sideways. It just goes right into his back.
Well, we know what Roll20 favors.
Just chops the dog right in half. What do you mean Roll20 favors?
Everyone else has gotten like mediocre to bad rolls except for Jay.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That's
Look
because
at the dice, man.
That's because I ain't no
Yeah.
bitch. You guys wanted to like run away.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like he's the only one who ain't no bitch.
What? Bitch. Don't be fucking putting words in my mouth. Don't fucking put a fist in yours.
I like his role playing. Yeah. Next up is Ches.
Chesley is going to do a positive energy burst from his position.
Typical Ches.
Or actually, no, he's not, since that guy's dead in front of him. He's just going to walk right up here and convert one of his spells into a heal.
What's it called? Cure Wounds?
And that's going to be a 1d8
Yeah,
plus
Cure
his
Wounds.
caster level. So 1d8
so 1d8
plus
2.
2. Yeah, of course.
I got a house rule.
Fine.
I'm doing the house rule. If you roll healing and it's a 1, you can reroll it.
Well, that's
you
just
rolled a
the-
D8 and a 3. Okay, I thought you
Yeah,
had
yeah. I appreciate
You
that
get
house
the
rule. We do the
3
same thing
plus
on my
2.
game.
So you
Yeah,
get
so
5.
5. Yeah, that's good. We're good. Brings me up to 10. Yeah. All right.
Wait, are you doing yourself right now?
And then that's the end of my
Why are the
round.
two characters healing each other is funny.
I'm gonna do a positive energy burst next round. I'm gonna top everyone off here.
Yeah. But yeah, just to clarify, yeah, that's a rule with healing I'm doing.
Okay.
'Cause nothing sucks more than rolling a 1 on your healing.
Amen. Amen. We do the same thing in all of our campaigns over here too.
SB, you got tripped, which means that you are prone. Let me look that up real quick. It's your turn.
Now, I don't
Action
know.
to stand
I don't
up.
know the rules
So-
of Pathfinder, but as far as I know of D&D, it just takes only half your movement. And
Prone characters on the ground -4 attack roll. Standing up is a move equivalent action that provokes an attack of opportunity. So it takes your move.
that's perfectly fine. That's actually what I was gonna do. Is
It
'Cause
does
he can
provoke
do
an
the-
attack though.
that's fine. I have an AC of 19. I
Oh, yeah,
stand
you are
up.
super tanky.
I
He just
stand
gets
up.
1. So I'm just gonna roll this double thing, and we're just gonna look at the first one, not the second one.
You
Ooh,
missed.
I'm glad.
Thank God.
Aren't you glad I said first? Okay, so yeah, he completely misses. And you,
Alright.
you lose your boot icon. If I can
Now.
find it.
I am going to take. I guess like still do a 5-step, or no?
You did your move, and no, you have to use your 5 foot in the place of a move.
All right. I'll just take a normal swing then, 2-handed.
Okay.
As soon as I
Yeah,
can
that's
bring
okay.
up this icon. The one or the long sword.
Longsword, that's what it is. $20. Okay, and then I think there's a +1 in there too. So
Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
your longsword goes right into the dog, right into one of its mouths. You damage pretty good.
Yeah, I automatically put in the 10 +1.
Okay, next up is that dog. He's very upset about you messing with killing his friends and stuff, and he's trying to protect his bugbear dinner. And yeah, he tries to bite you again twice.
Oh man.
Game rolls, that was so weird too.
Like me or
No, so he rolled again, and you see he got a 5 and a 24 twice in a row.
no? I mean, but who though? Because he's still standing in the same spot.
Yes, it was you. You're in range.
All right, me.
Yeah, so that was a crit and he does 4 + 1, so that's 8 + 1, 9 damage to you. Also, what's your CMD?
15.
That hits. So you're
Trip again.
tripped again.
And you said it was 9 damage.
Yeah, 9 damage. And you also have to make a fortitude save.
Don't get worms. Don't get worm. Okay, good. No worms.
I ain't getting no damn worms.
Successfully get rid of the worms crawling on your skin. Pat, you're up.
Yeah, you're.
I'm gonna charge the dog.
Okay.
Charge the dog.
I allowed it already, so I'll allow it, but I'm looking into that rule of charging 3 allies. But it's fine. You're kind of in the dog square, so yeah, there you go.
Okay.
You were only 1 step away, so I'm gonna say no. You can't charge the dog. You gotta
Yeah,
run
well,
10 feet before you can charge.
Fucking, I'll move right here and then I'll fucking hit him.
You could do your blurry thing too, probably if you would like.
No, it's a full.
Yeah, but if you just moved 1 square, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess it's 5 foot.
5 foot step and full round.
Well, too late. I already rolled it.
You can do it if you want.
No, just take the bare hand.
Okay. Yeah, 15 hits, and your fist rockets right into the dog inside of his head. He's
really-
getting hurt.
It's really hard to see where they encompass all.
Where what is?
It's hard to see where the dog is as far as the squares, and then like it's kind of hard to see the squares on this background.
Yeah,
right?
I know this background. I'm trying new things, right? I
You're
found this
fine. You're fine.
background. I had
It's
to resize
beautiful.
stuff.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It looks great for us, but I can't see the grid, and that's the problem. It's fine.
Ooh, is that better?
Oh yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a lot better.
There you go.
Oh yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. You
There's a
fixed it.
color. There's a color slider.
Awesome. That works. Yeah,
Okay.
way better. I know what the fuck's going on now.
Oh yeah, and you hit him and he did damage, and I think that's it for your turn, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Potham, you're up.
I 5-foot step up and swing with both my weapons.
Okay.
1 and 2.
Oof.
So,
Okay, so the first one hits. and
hang on a
you're-
second. On the first one, I actually got my crit because I have an 18 to 20 crit range.
So now you got a 17 plus 2.
Oh, wait. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
I misread that.
It's
I was-
okay. It's easy to misread.
Okay. So yeah, 4 damage with 1 swing. And then I think this other one's a crit fail. Yeah, it is. Wait, is it? Yeah, it is.
I'm pretty sure I'm ruling that crit fails aren't a thing.
Oh.
I'm not sure. What do you guys think about crit fails?
Okay,
The
whatever
rule that I
option.
considered was that if you crit fail, like you just rolled a 1, he would have to roll another d20, and if he got 10 or above, nothing happens. But if he gets 9 or below, he drops his weapon on the square he's standing in. He has to spend a move action to pick it up.
Or other bad things can happen depending on what you're doing, and how the DM feels that day. I have a chart for that from a friend of mine I can give you to do percent bad things randomly happening.
Yeah, I'm a fan of crit fails.
Ha!
I
Yeah.
don't have a
What do you
weapon.
think? Yeah.
Yeah.
That it doesn't really.
You right, like
How does that work with fist? Like I can't drop my hands; they're attached.
Other
Um,
effects
no, I
can be
gotta
that
find
you
a
get
thing.
you get staggered or you
exactly.
get disoriented, so you take -2 to AC for a round until your next round. You could slip and go prone. You could trigger an attack of opportunity from your enemy. You could
I mean, I'm down
misdirect
for the failure. You know
and
what I mean?
punch someone else and
Okay, so I mean, it sounds like everybody's down with crit fails.
Yeah. Crit fails is fine if you guys want to do that.
Like
I
as
will-
described.
I
So,
will get you a
must
copy of
roll a
that.
d20.
Okay, I'll roll a d20. It has been determined I'm going to get screwed. Or not.
No.
Okay, we're good. Nothing bad happens.
Sorry, I'm taking a note. Yeah, you successfully don't like you swing your rapier the second time and you can feel it like slip a little bit out of your hand, but you kind of just managed to barely catch it with your pointer finger and kind of put it back in your hand. Luckily, nobody saw, or that would have been really embarrassing.
No one noticed. I just bluff it off. I meant to do that.
Now I'm sitting around the ground. I saw everything.
Next is Urukbar.
Oh, what's up? All right. Time to,
You ain't no bitch.
time to slice and dice.
Quit being a bitch.
All right, let's go 3 for 3 here, regular. Yeah. Damn it.
Wah, wah.
Finally.
All right, I'm good.
So yeah, your lucky greatsword is luckily not hitting. I don't know what that sentence was. Carry on. Chez, your turn.
Chesley says, "Oi, you're bleeding pretty bad. Let me heal you." And he 5-foot steps over, and his hands glow, and he touches SB in the no places, and
Lower.
spends the last one. And it's gonna be a
Mm.
1d8 plus 2.
Yeah, that is his specialty.
That'll be 9 hit points back to SB.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
need to figure out how to actually give this thing a roll.
You can make a macro, right? So it's the Geary. No, it's not the gear. It's the next one over the ... And then at the top, right below that, you click plus add, and then you type stuff, and it gives you a button.
Which gear are you talking about?
We'll talk about it later.
Oh, okay.
Ches went. SB, it's your turn. You are prone, And he can stand up and take an attack of opportunity.
Yep.
Here we go.
You want the first one or the second one this time?
First one. Do the first.
10. You picked right. The dog does not hit you, and you can lose your boot.
Alright. And I'm taking another swing, two-handed. Hey, fuck this monster. Fuck's this dog.
Ooh. Yeah, your longsword. Would you like to describe it? How would you like to do this?
after being tripped multiple times, I'm just flailing around, like doing like a figure eight with my sword. Just frustrated.
Yeah, you like just got up and you're all staggering, like, God damn it. And yeah, your great sword hits right in the dog, right in the middle of one of its heads, and it dies.
Da 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 da.
Victory theme plays for sure.
Chesley does a positive energy burst for 1d6 health to everybody who needs healing. And everybody gets 2 hit points back.
It's only 2 of the 4 that I lost.
I think he's going to do one more.
Everybody make a perception check.
Maybe. Perception.
Ooh, SB. SB with his demon vision, like, can see just in the barely corner distance over there that there's some kind of other dog that was looking the whole time, and it watched the whole fight play out. And SB, as your eyes kind of settle on this thing, the combat settles, and you see that he's been sitting there the whole time motionless. And as your kind of eyes focus, he blinks out of existence.
Creepy.
But yeah, it was a dog. It was kind of a dark dog. It was really slender.
I'm gonna run over to where it was and see if I can, see if it's around.
So yeah, no, you can see. You could do a survival check to look for if there was any prints or anything, but you can't see anything in the immediate area.
Anybody have any diseases or anything we need to worry about?
Other than you?
Up off and make a fort save.
Shit. Chesley, I was gonna ask because I was about to remove my thing, but okay, I'll make my fort save. You
just had to open up your mouth.
Yeah, it was a 10 to pass.
Chesley uses one of the scrolls of remove disease to purify my body.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, that works. Let me double check that. I don't know. I think it just works.
Yeah.
No. You make a caster level check, 1d6 plus 1d20 plus caster level against the DC of each disease.
Okay, so d20 by Ches plus 2.
Oh
my god, you've got to be kidding me! So he burns a remove disease and it doesn't do anything. He tries to burn another one because he's like, well, fuck it. If the first one doesn't work, let's try the next one. And he burns another one, and he gets a nat 20. Okay, awesome. It's gone. Make it. Please stop. Please stop. Please.
You may remove your radioactive icon. Yes.
Yay! I don't know how.
Please make sure you get rid of those items from the inventory.
I did.
Yeah.
And if you put in your temp bonus, go ahead and remove that.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. No cheatsies.
All right, now let's inspect this body and search it for goods.
Hey, Bear, was it 3 scrolls of remove disease or 4?
Thought it was 2.
It was 3 of remove disease and 2 of lesser restoration.
Yeah.
Okay, I got my numbers wrong. I'm really glad I double checked. Thank you.
1 second on Lutz. Okay, so on the guy, you find he's a big bugbear who's they're kind of like goblins, but they're weird and mutated and like mutant and probably twice as large, and they're usually all hunched over like Quasimodo, and they got tons of sharp teeth all sticking out of his mouth. This dude is like half eaten. His stomach is all gone. You know, the dogs were going for like the best bits, like his eyes and his stomach. But on his chest, he has on his belt, he has a masterwork heavy flail.
Oh snap!
Did you have to make a Quasimodo reference the day the fucking they
Too
burned
soon.
down?
I'm sorry, too soon.
Can anyone make that, or can anyone actually use that?
So anybody can use this.
Minus Pat.
It's a medium. It does 1d10 damage. What does Ches have?
Well, he has a warhammer, but that could be partially because it's his favored weapon by his deity, so he can't really.
He doesn't really get like particular bonuses for that.
Yeah, the clerics are weird.
I mean, sometimes he gets proficiency, but these weapons are like all fine.
Let me double check. I don't know if that's a thing in. Yeah, it is. It is a favored weapon. Let me check. Caden Cerulean is a rapier.
So warhammer is a martial weapon.
Oh. Yeah, no. Under the table, his favored weapon is actually supposed to be a rapier.
Full heavy is a martial two-handed weapon. So it's just the difference of a one-handed or a two-handed weapon. And I think his could have been two-handed as well, and this is just a permanent.
Yeah, the one he's also wearing a heavy shield though, so he can't use a two-handed weapon. If he's going to use a two-handed weapon, he's going to have to downgrade to a buckler. So he'll actually lose armor in the process of that.
That would be a Ches decision.
Yeah, it would be. I'll put it in his inventory for right now. Heavy
This was randomly generated loot, so that's what you get. Sorry, friends.
Is that it?
Yeah, and so that's about it. I mean, there's a bunch of corpses of dogs. They're really gross. You probably don't want to be anywhere near them.
Alright, so
Yeah, fuck them
what
dogs.
I want to do is gather up all the dogs and the bugbears and then get a bunch of leaves, sticks, and some wood, stuff like that, and set it all on fire.
Okay.
And then place a candle down and light that on fire.
I figured that was coming.
Jesus Christ.
So is this like the equivalent of a breadcrumb trail, but it's made out of wax?
Maybe.
It works for me.
I am now down to 57.
57 It's like cheese in Skyrim. You just got to collect it all.
I'm proud of you, SB, for coming with the cheeses. Okay, so yeah.
It's going to be in my calling card for everywhere we go.
Yeah, you spend a good amount of time, maybe a half hour, right, pulling all the dogs into a pile and looking for leaves and looking for some twigs and stuff. And like the trail's pretty clear. There's not too much brambles, but you do manage to get enough and stack it up. And
Don't forget the bugbear.
the bugbear. Oh yeah, you don't forget to, like, the fire's already burning, and you guys like both hoist the bugbear like right into the flames.
So
Kill all the bugs.
Chesley looks and says, "Yo, we should probably rest. I need to recover my magical power." It's a suggestion because I had to burn a lot of spells.
We can, but we might want to
feel about worms in his skin.
Oh.
I mean, that's fine if you want to rest, but we might want to get a little further up away from the corpses.
Yeah, you can sense it's definitely a good idea to get away from all the
Yeah, we want to
you
get
can
off.
see that, like, as the flames spread, like, the cockroaches are all just, like, running from the corpses.
We should probably get somewhere that's not in this area. We should, maybe like open field off to the side or some shit.
Yeah, that's fine. Over there we can see anything coming at us.
Okay, so yeah, everybody's ready to go, agrees with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. And yeah, by now it's definitely getting towards the end of the day. The sun's starting to kind of get low in the sky. You can make a check to try to find a campsite.
I'm gonna try.
I would say, like, whoever of you has the highest survival, probably just like one check.
I don't have that. That's
Is
not
it
me.
funner to do that? Is it funner for everybody to roll survival?
Yeah, because it's actually better for everybody to roll and try to aid the person with the highest roll. So, you can aid with skills. I think it's the numbers are a little weird. Where is skills?
Yeah, everybody roll survival check to find.
Nope.
Aid another. If you roll 10 or higher on your check, the character you're helping gets a +2 bonus on their check.
We suck.
Feels bad, man.
So survival by Ches, survival by me.
Nope.
So
Finally, we got one
I
decent.
got the high. Oh wow, I got the highest. I got a 10. Ouch. So about that skill check.
Okay, so yeah, you guys managed to you find a kind of clearing in the woods, and it looks good enough. And so you all kind of start scooting the leaves out and start setting up your tents. And the sun is quickly going away. Does anybody want to, like, do anything to prep the campsite? What kind of stuff you need in the campsite?
So Chesley's character, who actually has the highest survival because he has so much wisdom, is going to scavenge for some food for a little bit before the end of the night. See if you can find some berries or something with a 13.
I'll just eat one of my rations.
This is pretty fertile forest, so yeah, with a 13, you're able to find enough, like, berries and twigs to, like, feed just Ches himself. But yeah,
Ches and one other
everybody
person, apparently.
The way I see it is everybody's got, like, an MRE, and there's a bunch of, like, Ziploc bags of a bunch of different stuff. You all got, like, an assortment.
Okay, so Chesley feeds himself.
You guys might want to, like, I don't know, who's got a new recipe?
So we have access to Ziploc bags, but not a deli. Fuck.
Yeah. They're old school rations. It's wax paper.
Just also in a deli? Weird.
Does anybody know how to cook?
I do.
Oh yeah, what
In real life.
No, anybody's character have a history of cooking.
That would be Ches.
Even if they want to just make it up right now. I guess Ches, yeah, he made potions and stuff.
Yeah. He attempts to cook stuff, I guess. Oh, I shouldn't have rolled that. Sorry. Fuck.
No, that's fine. So yeah, Ches, like, he gets a little bit of everything from everyone. He gets a little bit of bread from Pat, and he gets a little bit of, like, mustard from Apotham, and
We have mustard now?
he, like, mixes
Apparently,
it all
I
up
just like
and-
carry condiments.
Why don't we have a deli? We have all this stuff for it.
It's a great idea for a business. Untapped market in this universe.
I mean, you guys wanted to start a business a couple sessions ago. Just saying.
Yeah, with the inspiration you guys keep talking about deli, like, Ches makes a thing, and he's not sure what to call it, but it's kind of like 2 pieces of bread with some condiments and some meats in there, and he calls it a sandwich.
Sandwich.
You wish there was some meat on it.
And yeah, how do you guys? I mean, is the sandwich any good? You guys
Sure.
like it?
Terrible.
It's food.
It sure beats nothing. So yeah, everybody use a ration or whatever. And yeah, the night happens.
Oh, we take turns on watches. I'll take
Okay.
first watch. Chesley takes second watch, and we need at least one more watch, preferably two, so everybody can get 6 solid hours at the
I'm
moment.
just gonna go for watches or RP.
Oh, you're not gonna have bad things happen in the middle of the night? I'm giving you ideas. I need to shut up.
Well, yeah, it's a possibility, right? But
Oh, he's aware of it. But I would have taken the third shift.
So yeah, in the night, you guys kind of all settled down. You had your food, and the little campfire lit's kind of going out. Everybody's in their tent. In this really nice forest, there's owls hooting, and real calm. You hear some rustling throughout the night. But luckily, you picked a good enough campsite, and you all wake up in the morning and start packing your stuff. And luckily, you remembered to tie your horses to a tree, and they didn't run off in the night. And the horses are still here.
Hooray!
Bother you guys about horses?
Worst case scenario, we feed them to whatever's attacking us, and we run like hell.
Sounds good to me.
Be said about that goat.
Oh yeah, we still get that goat.
Yeah.
Why didn't we take the goat with
Did
us to
anybody
the
feed
dog
Carol?
fight?
Wait, I thought we did.
Yeah,
Well,
did
Garrett's a
anybody
goat.
feed
He can eat
Carol?
grass.
Yeah,
Did he,
he's
like, find
He's riding
grass?
a horse. He's there.
He's tied up to a
He
horse.
was riding a horse. Yeah.
Yeah, we should make sure he gets to eat some grass and table scraps.
We'll say that. Yeah, he's a goat. He knows how to forage. He'll eat whatever. So he just like ate some moss, and he's happy. And he hops right back up on the saddle, and he's like, "Wee!"
I leave a candle at our campsite.
Okay.
Off we go, I guess.
Espy's leading the way down the path.
Sure.
Clop, 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 clop.
Clap, 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 clap. Are you guys on this? Yeah, you are.
I'm glad that you're making us do sound effects.
You guys are helping.
Group effort.
Okay, so yeah, you're on this path. It's much bigger than this path, but I didn't find a different picture. But just imagine this like 3 times as wide, and it's real majestic, like Lord of the Rings kind of. The trees are all huge. You've been going north. You woke up, yeah, and you're walking north through the kind of path, and in the distance you see a wagon. And the wagon kind of approaches. You can see behind the wagon there's what looks like a band of mercenaries, and then a second wagon. And yeah, they're coming down the road. They kind of see you. They don't look like they're upset or anything like that. They look like they're just kind of traveling along. And some of the guards kind of take notice of you, and they're holding their weapons, but they don't seem like they really want any trouble.
I just wave at him and just keep going.
And yeah, make a perception check as they get closer to you, about 25 or 30 feet away from you. Dot, dot, dot.
Oh, for God's sakes, how am I so freaking blind?
Man, I ain't no bitch. Let's go.
Big J with his knowledge of sharp, pointy objects. As he grew up, he saw a magazine that was about swords and magic weapons, and so he's able to kind of pick them out of the crowd. And he can see that all these soldiers obviously have like very magical weapons. One guy has a spear, and the spear's like looks like it's glowing red. Another guy has a crossbow that looks like there's like lightning in the arrow. And even their armor just like shimmers with kind of iridescent magic, and they look like really tough dudes.
So how many mercenaries are there?
There's 8
Oh
soldiers.
yeah. No
with
thanks. I'm good.
Yeah.
You sure, Jay? You sure you don't want to go in there?
Hold on.
Now is not the time to Leroy
Ah.
Jenkins this. You don't.
I will leave you behind. Just right off.
I'm telling y'all right now, if I had greater cleave, it would be on.
He ain't no bitch, except for this one time he was a bitch. So yeah, this is they're about 20 feet away from you, and like they again, they don't look, they just kind of are keeping their heads forward, and they're not really giving you much expression. But as the first cart kind of comes up, you know, the cart's pretty close, and there's a woman sitting on the front of the cart, kind of steering it with some horses. And as she gets close, she says, "Hey, hi there! Strange to see some adventurers such as yourself out here." And she stops the wagon, and the whole kind of company halts.
Where'd you come from?
We're coming from Reminster. We're traveling south to the next big city. And
Well, be careful on the way down. We ran into some 2-headed infected animals, and they were eating a bugbear and had to burn the corpse. So, might be some wild animals around.
we've seen them too. We fought 4 off this morning. But
Really?
never fear, our guards are strong enough. We didn't have too much trouble.
Any idea what could be causing this?
This parts of the wood, we travel this route pretty often, and this parts of the woods usually has got something attacking us, whether it's zombies or dogs or.
It's kind of weird seeing 2-headed dogs.
We've been here so many times, they all kind of blend into each other.
Wow, that's kind of concerning.
But yeah, hi there. My name's Farsi actually, and this is we're a traveling smithery. Adventurers such as yourself, you might use an upgrade.
I was just about to ask if you had anything for sale.
It's good to see some strong adventurers around here. Might I interest you in this? And so she goes over to her cart. She kind of punches like a button on the side of it, and the side flips open, and you can see like it's like the Matrix wall weapons. You know, she's got all these swords and maces and
Gnomish
brass knuckles
witchcraft
and stuff, and they all look crazy. You know, each one's glowing a different way. And so yeah, she takes a look at Apotham, and she sees that you have a rapier on your waist, and so she she reaches up for a rapier that's hanging from some hooks, and the rapier is obviously magical. It's glowing bright blue, and as she kind of moves it through the air, you can see the tip makes like ice crystals in the air. And she says, "For the low price of 8,500 gold."
I can't afford it. I'll be your sex slave or something. I don't know. I will do anything. I will commit myself to you in a way of which that no man probably should. Please just let me have the sword.
I'm sorry, sir, but we're not interested in that. We don't take that kind of currency here. Just nothing but hard.
Gather yourself together, man. Jeez.
It's beautiful.
I'm sorry. I think our party's purses are a little light at the moment.
My rogue just cries and holds himself in his hands, and it's just like sobbing. I want it.
So she kind of takes a step back, and she sizes you all up. She looks at you from head to toe, and she takes the rapier and puts it back in its kind of slot in the cart, and she reaches up to the lid that opened, and she slams the lid down, and she sticks a key in there, twists it, and then it all locks. A really complicated lock mechanism. And she goes around to the back of the cart, and there's in the back of the cart, it's kind of there's like a curtain hanging and some ropes holding the stuff in. So she jumps up and she grabs the cart. She jumps up in the back of the cart and grabs a crate and jumps back down And the crate is obviously like old. It's all oily, and there's ropes, in there. And it's a pretty big crate, though. It's kind of long. And yeah, she opens it up, and it's obviously like the wood is got holes in it, and it's getting old. And she opens it up, and inside is a assortment of weapons. They're shiny, but they're by no means as glorious as the other ones. They look like they've been well oiled. And she explains that, look, for guys like you, we keep these in the back. These are kind of trade-ins that other people have. We got, we can make a deal or something here, but these are just basic masterwork weapons. I mean, I don't know if you guys are interested, but
I'll still take a look. Definitely. I've only got like 400 gold, but I'll still totally take a look.
okay. So yeah, she pulls out a rapier, and she's, it's, you can tell it's a finely crafted rapier, and she says it'll be 320 gold for the rapier.
Is that a masterwork rapier?
It is made by the finest blacksmith back in town. He works for us.
Let's see here.
Now, I'm going to come up before you make this deal. Is there any chance you could give us a bit of a discount?
Try to negotiate a discount here with the.
We don't give discounts to strangers on the highway,
Sounds like an intimidate check to me.
I was going to do a persuasion check, but
that would persuasion.
Yes, whoever would like to lead the discussion can make it.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
where is it?
All right, I assist, I guess.
And so yeah, she shows you like a piece of paper that has some numbers on it and some names of items. And would you like to explain like what is your argument? To charity, or like, hey, look, we're scrubs just trying to get by, or like,
yeah, what? we're totally just a couple of scrubs trying to get by. I have some other things that we might be able to trade to help assist you with making the money back and the discount. We just don't have it all, and we could really use any help. If we find you again, we will become one of your greatest customers.
Well, what do you got to trade?
I got a scroll of a obscuring mist that I was looking to also sell in the process of maybe getting a second rapier.
We'll give you 10 gold for that. It's not worth much though. I'll take your base weapons in for trade, but those aren't worth much either.
I'm sorry, SB. Did you want to roll diplomacy?
I was gonna say because I have a +3.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
What's your argument?
Well, I kind of forgot now.
I ruined it. I'm sorry.
Out of character, somebody could say that we're working for the church. Maybe they're got some religion behind them or something. By the way.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Hint, hint, cleric, hint, hint.
What was the name of the church that we were kind of hired on?
Thenray.
Henry?
Thenray, wasn't it?
Thenray?
Bear, help a brother out. What the fuck was the name of the church, Lord?
Do your characters know, or do you guys not know?
I actually don't remember.
Legit don't know.
I like the one you said.
Sure, dude.
Thenray? Alright.
Whatever.
The fuck? So, what about...
Yeah, I mean, that was good. You rolled a 20 plus 3. So yeah, first she gives you a weird look because she's never heard of a god called that, but you make a convincing enough argument, and so she'll give you 25 gold off each item you buy.
Oh, it's Aaron.
That's
that
Saren Ray,
helps.
but I was talking about the church itself.
That would 25 gold off each
I think I
item.
said Farron or something like that. It was good.
Well, I was asking for the name of the church itself, not the name of the god. No, it's Saren Ray.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I don't think there was a name for the church.
Mm-mm.
Really.
I'm still like 100 gold short of getting my second masterwork
Yeah,
rapier.
so you each want to buy a weapon, right? Like, let's make a transaction for each of you, right? Like, who wants? These are
I
the
wanted
weapons
to
that you guys
try
have that are picked out.
and get 2 masterwork.
Yeah, well, you can't get
rapiers.
2, right? So let's move to the next
Oh.
person who just gets 1, and we'll figure you out later if you want.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
good.
Aspie, you're not interested?
No.
My body is a weapon.
Big J, you
I'll
want
do
a big
it.
one?
I'll do it. Why not? How much you give me trading for the great sword I have?
Great sword is
They're
50
worth
gold.
Yep, so that'll be 300 gold for the oiled greatsword.
All right, let's do it. I got 360.
And you got 25 off because of the haggle, so it's 320. No, it's 275.
Damn it, I can't do that math in my head. I got 360. I got enough, so let's do it. 5 minus. All right, I'm good. I got 85 gold left over.
Okay. Anybody else? Apotham?
I
Chaz,
want
I
to
guess,
get.
maybe.
I want to get at least one of those rapiers. So that's what 295 for because minus 25 gold, 320 minus.
Yeah, yours will be
25.
325, and then no, yeah, yours will be 300, and then there's the minus 25, so yours is also 275.
Oh, 275.
I will give Apotham 275 to get a second rapier.
Oh my goodness, thank you. So I was actually only 435. I was only 115 short, so I only need 160 from USB,
All
and
right,
that'll just clean me out. And then I sell my 2 rapiers back to the person and get, I guess, how much?
No,
gold
that was
back?
included in the price already.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, no, that works. Okay, so I have 0 gold now, but I have 2 masterwork rapiers. That makes me very happy. Thank you so much, SB. I really appreciate it.
Yep. And
How much do you have, SB?
I had 350, and I gave him 160 since that's all he's asking. That's
190.
190.
Okay, do you guys want to buy Ches one, or do you think he's cool with that one that he got randomly, or I guess Pat passes and yeah.
I pass. So
Let's see here. Ches looks at his equipment and says, "Do you have?" I mean, neither of these are his favorite weapon. It's odd that he's a dex-based character. That his deity is dex-based. It's so strange.
He has a Warhammer or whatever, and that's what
Yeah.
I like had to upgrade for.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he might as well just. Can he even use that heavy flail as a one-handed thing?
Nope, it's two-handed.
I'm gonna say he holds on to his money right now.
yeah, I should make decisions like that for him.
Yeah, I really am not.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't want to spend his money unless she's got some potions. Or
We only deal in weapons in this shop. Sorry, there's other part of the same business, but we don't cross paths. We got different trade routes.
I see. Okay.
And Bear, what did you say her name was?
Her name is Farsi.
Farsi. All right.
She also offers that if you'd like, they provide a special service here. You can put your name or the name of the weapon engraved onto the weapon for 5 gold.
I would love that if I wasn't broke, but it's okay. I don't need it.
I'll just toss money at this stupid rogue. Put your name on your shit, and
No.
don't ever lie to anybody about your fucking name ever again.
Oh, okay, fine. I want it engraved. These are going to get enchanted later.
Okay, so Pat gave Apotham 10 gold, and Apotham, you're getting your name written on there?
Yep, they are mine. Apotham, do not touch. Or do not touch Apotham. That's do not touch dash Apotham. That's what I want.
Okay, so yeah, she takes it back to the second cart and kind of passes it through the curtain where you see like a hand grab it, and she kind of whispers something, and then she takes the sword back out and comes back and says, "Here you go. It's just as you ordered. Do not touch Apotham."
I am happy now.
Yep, Apotham, you're not allowed to touch those. It says do not touch Apotham.
Yeah. As you take the sword, your hand gets burnt. Yeah. I'm just kidding. Okay, so Farsi kind of looks at you, and she kind of jumps back up on top of the horse and says, "All right, Wells, it's been a pleasure doing business with y'all." And
Before you leave, I hand her a scented candle. And I'm like, thank you for your services.
she takes the candle and she kind of gives it a whiff, and she kind of startles back. It's pretty strongly rose scented, but she smiles and says thank you, and kind of tucks it behind her and says fair travels. And she kind of whips her horses, and they all start marching off.
55 candles to go.
Okay, so you guys keep going. That was kind of the morning. You were walking down the trail. You hadn't got very far when you ran into them, but you keep moving forward, and you just through the same kind of big path towards the north, and you notice that the path is actually getting a little bit more windy. It's starting to turn more northwest, and in the distance you can see like a river to the east. I'll show you. So yeah, you guys are now loading about here. And as the day goes on, nothing really happens. The forest kind of starts clearing, and it becomes more and more like rocky, rivery kind of area. There's more rocks in the place and less giant trees, but there's still some trees. And yeah, in the distance, you see a stone building. It's kind of covered with moss. There's trees around the area, but it's kind of covered with moss so much that it's almost kind of hidden in here. But the road, you can see it from the road about 100, 200 feet back in some woods. But otherwise, there's nothing that really shows you that this is anything special. It's just kind of a ruined-looking mossy stone building in the distance. And this looks a lot like this is about like the distance that Rosamund said to the shrine.
I think this might be the shrine.
Weren't we supposed to destroy this?
No, you're supposed to clear it.
Oh, destroy something that's living on it. Okay, got it.
Also, when we slept, did any of us we forgot to heal up?
Yeah, you probably did. You can heal. You heal your Constitution mod.
Chesley uses the last before the end of the night before he rests. He's going to burn all of the remaining heals he's got. Fuck yeah.
How about you use some wand charges to heal up?
Wand charges. Do we even have a
you
wand?
Heal your con, and then
Yeah,
you can use wands from there.
Okay. Well, I don't get any heal from my con.
3?
I thought it was you heal from your. Oh yeah, well.
My 2. All right.
I don't recover any hit points then.
No, you do have a 1. You have a 13 con. That's 1 modifier.
Oh, whoops.
12 and 13 is 1 modifier. If you have 11 or lower con, you don't get any.
Yeah, it seems kind of broken, and like I understand that's not ever going to happen. But if somebody was to have like just a 0, kind of stupid to just base it off of that.
Yeah, I mean that's just
God
kind of
damn.
what the rules say.
I know, but I understand like it's never going to happen. But it's just if it
No,
somehow
it's
did.
never going to happen. Never.
My thing is that you're gonna heal probably to full in town, but when you're in the wilderness, like you just get in your con. You're not like in a comfy bed or nothing, you know.
Yeah, I know.
You're like eating beef jerky. And
If only you had a cleric around.
Chez, you invented a sandwich.
Say what?
You invented a new recipe. It's a sandwich.
Oh, okay.
The whole joke for the entire day is we haven't had a deli in yet. We keep getting all the shit for a deli, and you somehow make a sandwich.
We have
yes.
we have
yes,
Ziploc bags, but not a deli.
Yeah, deli.
Ah,
We
yes.
got mustard packets, but not a deli.
A sandwich. That's my favorite kind of breaded treat.
So, Ches, I'm just going to tell you, you're going to look at your character sheet. And there's going to be some new stuff on there. Don't be alarmed.
Oh
but
God, what did you fucking do?
I didn't.
We destroyed you.
Calm down.
I didn't do anything.
That-
Bro.
That
only
intensity was mainly
carried
for
Claymore?
theatrical purposes.
I gave you your spells. I listed your domain list. I gave you I put you on the strength domain, so you have your domain spell because your deity was like one of 2 picks. So I went with strength because it seems like it has the better benefits, and you're pretty much all set up now with your skills and stuff and your magic and whatnot, and your save DCs and all that other good stuff too.
You're naked with no weapon and no money.
So
You actually have a shiny new weapon in your inventory. It's just 2-handed.
yeah, so we didn't spend any of your money or anything, but I also updated your inventory because I know you're supposed to have at least 500 gold at some point, but it doesn't look like you ever added it or anything. So went through and fixed all that too, and
I got a goddamn flail?
yeah,
Hell yes!
Yeah, it was generated.
Everybody's gonna get drunk. Every single person around me is gonna get drunk when I smack them in the head.
Oh, fuck you are.
Your shield though.
yeah. You have to ditch the shield if you go 2-handed, so you're gonna lose some armor.
You know what?
It's
a
worth
god-
it though.
It's a flail.
Yeah, it's.
I'm a Diablo 3 Crusader now. What's up?
You ain't no bitch.
You're not a paladin.
You don't know that.
I'm aware that you're not a paladin.
Clerics are pretty damn close.
Yeah,
It's really weird that you guys were like talking about like coming up with a bread-based food while I was, because on my way home I was listening to the Adventure Zone, and the first like 2 arcs of that podcast are about a wizard named Taco learning how to make tacos.
That sounds pretty good.
Bear, I think you should listen to the Adventure Zone. I think you'd get a kick out of it.
Yeah, sure. I've been meaning to, but the podcast format is.
Everyone can fuck you.
So yeah, how much longer does everybody has, right? Because we're about to enter a dungeon, and this is usually the time that we kind of start wrapping it up. But
Yeah, I
I can
know.
keep going for dungeon if that's doable. I would say maybe 30 or 40 minutes.
I can go for that. I'm sorry I came in so late.
Oh, I'm
You're
ready.
good.
It's okay.
I played your
I got all
character for
night.
you.
Dude, I just need a piss break and grab some more beer. I'm good to go.
Yeah, sure. Everybody take a quick break, use the bathroom, whatever. I need another beer too.
Yeah, give me 5 minutes. I gotta go hug Amanda.
BRB. Give her a hug from me too.
Will do. Most def.
What the fuck?
5 minutes of hugging.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Listen, if Bear hugged Amanda for like 2 straight minutes, that'd be really fucking weird.
I don't think it
Yep,
would be.
yep. I made it weird for everybody.
I think it would be weird for her.
I need to take my fucking medication.
Hey, at least Bear wouldn't be drunk on the floor next to the dog, yelling out, "You're my new best friend."
What?
Oh,
What
yeah,
happened at the last Discord con?
Well, you see, your boy Brian think this is still recording. I'm not going to tell you the story until we're not recording, actually. Never mind.
I don't care.
Oh God, I'm ruining the recording.
You're fine.
This is the equivalent of that guy who shows up in the middle of like you're trying to do a let's play and the guy shows up in your room like, "What's up, motherfucks?"
I don't think you're better.
Pretty much, long story short, I had more than enough drinks, and then Brian gave me one last one, tipped me over.
Oh, tipped you over and poured you out.
Yeah,
Huh?
it doesn't help that he's a lightweight. to begin
Yep.
with.
I am also a lightweight when it comes to alcohol. Not anything else, but when it comes to alcohol.
Anything that's mind altering, I'm a lightweight. But yeah, pretty much I was just telling him, man, I'm like, you're my new best friend! and shit like that. And I was just so hammered that I was on the ground on the dog's bed next to the chihuahua. And it was just like, what's going on?
I am back.
Just realized I got roughly 3 more months and then I move.
Move where?
Somewhere further west into Tennessee.
Ah.
So before that happens, like a week or two before that happens, I'm gonna go visit a Potham.
Yay!
I like how you're seeing more of a problem than I am.
I wish you would come visit me, Ches. I miss you.
I wish I had the money.
Oh,
I'm
right.
I'm literally. I need to talk to you at some point about whatever it is you wanted to hire me to write.
Oh, right, yeah.
This is being recorded. Just remember that. As far as I know.
I can cut the recording from it if you guys want. I didn't know it was getting serious.
No. You're fine. You're fine. Just
fine.
Good.
I do need to figure out with you, Potham, about how we're gonna do the VR stuff because all the games are on my PC.
Well, I mean, is it on Steam?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
then
upload
just
your
log
Steam.
on. Yeah, just log on Steam on my computer if you want. If you don't want to bring your whole PC, you don't have to.
I was just wondering how you wanted to do it.
Oh,
He's got spare computers who were there last time, remember?
I've got
a
multiple
hard drive.
VR ready computers. It's fine.
All right.
Pick a computer and start swinging something. Don't scrub the walls.
I literally
like I do.
like literally like half the reason why I built my PC the way I did was so I could do VR. So like everything's
Same.
good to go. So
That's cool. You guys having a visit?
yeah,
Eventually.
SP's gonna come over and bring his VR stuff so we can play it and stuff and have fun. Let us spot him some money for gas.
I did PlayStation VR for a couple months. That was fun.
Interesting.
Ooh, Octopath Traveler is coming to PC.
Yes.
Play that shit in 4K.
Where is that announcement, please? Please link me that DM,
I will DM you that shit.
please.
Probably shouldn't be cursing so much. This is being recorded. My boss got onto me about my presence in a Facebook group.
Well, if they can somehow locate you on this,
I joked around. I joked around with my with a friend of mine in the same Facebook group. I'm like, you should take a joke, and she's like, so I know you, but other people might not know you, and you kind of represent the paper.
It's like, oh right, yeah, I do, don't I?
Tell them you ain't
I
no
got-
bitch.
I got recognized in public. That was scary. I went to get lunch today, and some person like taps me on the shoulder. Is like, "Are you the guy that writes the business columns?" And I'm
I
like,
recognize you. You wrote about my uncle who murdered this person. I'm gonna kill you now.
I just said business columns, Cody. What kind of business columns do you think I'm writing?
Hey, murder can be a form of business.
I guess on the darknet maybe.
So Cody either just confessed to using Silk Road or he's in the Mafia. I can't tell which.
All right, guys. Well, you ready to get back going, guys?
Yes, we're done incriminating ourselves.
Yeah,
Let's
nice
continue.
incrimination. I'm proud of you all. Okay,
I'm not
so
done yet. One word. Meth. Alright, now I'm done.
flagged on Twitch.
I-
So, Ches, the quick synopsis was that Warthog happened, and there was a funeral, and that ended, and you left town, and you went on a traveling adventure. You found a magic rock, and you camped for the night. You fought some death dogs with
Okay.
weird worms in their mouth and stuff. SB got
And-
diseased.
and they
you
had
cured
2 heads.
No, Apophis got disease.
I got diseased.
Oh, yeah,
SB just got tripped a bunch of times.
Yep.
Wait, hold up a second. Oh, I did not know that. I'm
What?
sorry. I'm listening to you, and I'm also looking at my spell sheet.
Chesley sees the fixes and now is beginning to
I was
understand.
like, oh.
I forgot to actually put your energy charge thing on there, which we probably should. It should be like a roll, like a weapon or something, because it's
You
negative.
realize you took away Cure Light Wounds.
No, you
No,
can
you get it for
convert
free.
all your. You get it for free. You don't need to actually load Cure Light Wounds as a spell on your sheet. You can have all your utilities, and then it's like, oh, I need to heal. You just burn one of the spells that's already prepared on the list.
Yeah.
So you don't need to worry about that. That's why those spells are there.
Ches, another thing, I don't know if you saw this, but maybe this will make it pop up like that. See that?
Yep.
Oh, you got a scrolled seal. A sealed scroll with 7 seals. Scrolled seal. I just like that joke. Unintentional joke.
You left out the most important detail. All right, so Sigbert, we all have horses, and Gerald have his own horse, and if he has enough ride, he can ride his own horse.
Yeah.
That's my goat. That's
Yeah,
my
the
boy.
Yeah. This morning.
Sorry,
he
hang
helped-
on. I gotta get.
yeah.
Hang on. I need to get in character. Where's my beer? That's
You
my
were crying
boy.
for you earlier.
That's my Geralt. That's my boy. All right. I don't
Okay, so
actually
yeah.
have I don't actually have a beer. I have a Diet Coke, but
Oh, I have a beer.
I've got beer.
You've been traveling down the road for most of the day today, and I forget how to make it pink stuff, but it does a thing like this. There we go. And that's where you are now, right? And so, down, and you're going on this main road. It's like a 30, 40 foot wide road, and to the right you can see kind of a river in the distance, but to the left, kind of back in the woods and rocks, you see a large stone building, like completely covered with moss. And there's some trees growing around it. It looks like the place was nice once, but it's kind of overgrown and all the moss is taken over. So the place is kind of half camouflaged in the woods. And you think that this is the shrine that Rosamund suggested that you clear out. She wasn't sure where the undead came from, but this was one of the possible sources. And yeah,
friends, shall we?
Hey, she said we can keep whatever we find in here, so I'm down. Let's
Oh
do it.
yeah.
And she said we could work out a deal later.
And Sigbert was supposed to say something at the funeral, and he just messed that all up.
yeah, it was
Fucking
kind of
cleric.
To be fair, I was probably drunk.
yeah, you were drunk at the time, but it's probably canon. So
I mean, praise Caden, Kalian, praise whoever you're praising. Piss it all. Can only have a beer.
Well, this was the temple of little Sarenrae people who were having a funeral.
Oh well. Now I remember. Sarenrae. Hates. Wait. Oh. Oh dear. I messed that up.
She slipped you a note that you may have not seen until now, and the note had this on it. And she said she would give you the signal, and she gave you the signal, but you did not join in the prayer. And she was displeased, but understanding.
Well, I'll do better next time.
But yeah, so yeah, there's a shrine kind of in the distance. It's really mossy and rocky. And would you guys like to approach?
Hell
Sure.
yeah.
I did not realize I missed it that badly. I'm so sorry.
It's
I was
okay.
reading books.
So yeah, you guys, you tie up your horses here against some trees, and you walk closer to this building. You can tell that it's about 15 or 20 foot tall, and there's an entranceway, and there's just kind of two plain white columns going upwards, and a stone kind of just staircase upwards. And the entrance is down here. How do I? There we go.
With
So
big
hard
old
to
letters.
ping.
With big old letters right in front of the door. Enter.
I got a plum color. Rearrange yourself in these like entrance squares. However you wish. And yeah, you can see on these columns when you entered, you could see that one column had like a male figure that was real muscular and heroic looking, and the other pillar had a still male figure, but it had like goat hoofs, and it looked much more tough. It had horns. One on the left side and one on the right side. And yeah, when you enter in here, you can see that this is a long entryway made of gray stone. There's pillars. They're about 5 feet around, and they rise up into the tall, dark ceilings that are about 20 or 25 feet tall.
Where's the goat?
The
Where's the
goat's with the horses. He's like chilling, eating grass.
Can I go grab the goat?
Oh,
No.
God.
You are not bringing that goat in here. Geralt, stay safe.
No, we need the goat. This is the part where we make the goat go run down the hallway.
Ah, fuck that. I ain't no bitch.
I
I'll do
will
it.
literally smash both your kneecaps.
You're a rogue. You specialize in finding crap.
Yeah, but that's one way to find it. It's just the brute force method. That's all.
You're not brute forcing anything with my goat.
That's not your goat. I'm the one who got it.
That is true.
He's bonded
My
with
goat.
me. He bonded with me. He may be your goat, but he's my friend.
Okay, so yeah, this hallway to the right and left, kind of between these pillars, you can see that there's windows, and the windows look outside just into the same scenery you've seen. It looks like there was once glass here, but now there's just shrapnel on the ground, and the glass is empty. They're about 5 foot tall windows on the right and the left.
Can I search for traps then?
You can move down the hallway some more and then search for traps. Yes, is that what you would like to do?
I'm gonna move up to here. I'm gonna
And make
search.
a perception check.
Where'd my sheet go? There it went. Here we go. So it begins. I probably don't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see that the kind of as you go further down into this tunnel, there's less and less windows and it gets darker. But here, yeah, already the pillars climb up into the ceiling. And even though there's light coming in, the pillars are up so high, you can't really see where they go or when they stop.
Do I see
And
anything?
you can tell that the pillars are really intricately carved in some kind of strange language.
I study the floor intensely, looking for any kind of raised floor tiles or something.
And
You don't see anything of this sort. You gotta.
I'm supposed to add half my level to perception checks made to locate traps, so that's actually supposed to be a 12. But anyway.
Yeah, so none of your checks are successful. You should move forward down the hallway. To see.
I move
Yep.
forward at half speed.
I'll move. Cool.
You first, rogue.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
going to cast. Hey, there.
Yeah.
I'm going to cast Detect Magic.
One moment.
That's really good to know, actually. We probably should have done that first.
You cast Detect Magic, but your spell kind of the aura of it echoes out against all the stone pillars and stuff, and You can detect some faint magic just kind of in the stone of the walls, but you can't. There's no like localized point or anything like that nearby.
Got it.
So can I move up to like
You can
here?
move up to here, and you can make another perception check.
Okay, I'm gonna move right here. I'm gonna make another perception check.
I am baffled that level 0 spells have a limited set of casts.
Yeah, on this they have a limited set, and you have it maxes out at 6.
So down the hallway kind of goes downwards, you can tell, and the windows get less and less as you get closer. But down at the end of the hallway, you can see that on the roof there's something. It's kind of just a shimmer. You have to move your head kind of to the left and to the right, and you can see that there's something there, but it's kind of clear, and you're not really sure what exactly is.
Oh man! So on the roof, where exactly?
Dead ahead in front of you on the roof of the thing.
I step like right here and take a closer look.
No, you stepped way too close. It's
wait.
initiative.
Is it? Oh, what was I thinking?
One moment. You were like up there, and let me pull up the thing.
Okay.
Okay, everybody feel free to roll initiative.
Dang. I'm going
It's okay.
last.
Do I not have 3D dice on?
I turned it off just because it like makes this lag whenever you roll dice, pretty much.
Oh,
This lag before you know the result.
yeah, I just turned it off myself because it's fucking confusing.
That
I'll
too,
leave it on.
because it rolls like 12 dice for some reason. Okay, did everybody roll? Filter by whatever. That one, damn, SB rolled really good.
Dying.
Okay, so SB, you're up first. You saw there was something down at the end of the hallway. As kind of Apotham approached, whatever was attached to the ceiling fell down the 20 or so feet and hit the floor with a loud plop noise. But it's dark down there and you can't really tell. Make a perception check.
Okay, perception. Okay, yeah, because I got dark vision. Yeah, 13.
Yeah, you can't see anything. You kind of struggle to squint your eyes and see, but you don't see anything special. You can begin your turn.
Alright, all I can do is 1, 2, 6. I'm just gonna move right there, and that's it.
You can double move if you'd like, which would let you move further. If
Nah,
that's all you're gonna
that's
do.
okay.
That was SP's turn. And out of the darkness, my favorite phrase so far is out of the darkness comes. You hear kind of behind you a loud drip noise. And if you were a bit more perceptive, you might have noticed. But behind you, from the ceiling, drops another slime. Except this one's a little bit different. This is kind of a smaller one. It's nowhere near as tough looking as the other one. And inside of it, you can see that there's like some bones, like rat bones and maybe little cat bones or something. But it's about a 5-foot blob of snotty gray slime. And yeah, it plops down and it sees Pat and it makes 3 steps over and it attacks Pat. A slimy appendage reaches out and tries to smack you. What's your AC?
14 hits.
14 hits, 2 damage, and you have to make a fortitude save. I think you're good at these, though.
Oh, man.
2 damage, I'll type that in for you. Did you already, or?
Oh!
Oh!
That's a nat 1, my dude!
That's a fucking bear curse me, you bitch.
I'll give you the lightning bolt symbol, yeah, you bitch. Did you take your damage or not?
No, that's previous
Okay, I'll
damage.
do it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, you
You
take
bitch.
damage, and the slime reaches out, and as he touches you, like just you feel this cold just spread from your arm where he touched you, like into your body. And it's your turn. You are paralyzed.
Sounds good, dude.
Let me look this up real quick.
Sure you don't do anything.
Frozen in place, unable to act. Helpless, can take mental actions. You can fly if you have wings. That's it. Creep.
All right, cool. I just stand there. Awesome.
You do just stand there. Yeah,
Who's next?
The slime poison courses through your veins. The good news is that as soon as your turn is over, you are no longer poisoned or paralyzed, because that's how that works strangely. And then next up is the thing, and it plopped down from the ceiling, but this thing definitely has more structure to it. Like the other ones are snotty and slimy, and they're kind of half a puddle mostly, but this guy is much more like cubular. He's kind of keeping his shape. Let me pull up that thingy.
You're gonna want to hit this probably with the flat side of your weapon, guys.
He does a slimy kind of. He's like a cube, and then his cubey form just kind of like rolls over one square, and then it rolls over another square, and then it does a third one, and then that's all he can do. He kind of looks like the slimy's tired. He's kind of sweating now. He looks like he doesn't do much cardio.
Apophim, what the hell did you do to my spells?
They didn't do anything.
Bar, it's your turn.
All right. I'm gonna go.
When I saw it, I didn't see any listed.
I'm gonna go help my friend down.
One, that's because
2,
I've
3,
got a character
4,
sheet.
5, 6.
I made it with a generator.
Oh, just to confirm, masterwork is just +1 to attack, right?
Yeah, I guess I did not mention that, but yeah, it is +1 on all of your attack rolls.
Okay, I already added that in. I Googled it just to be safe. All right, so I'm gonna go attack this blob that decided to hit my monk buddy.
Let me pull that up.
Bitch, bro.
You know, I say, what did you do to my spells? But really, you didn't do much.
He improved the situation. You rolled a lots of number, and you hit.
If I had known you had that generated character sheet, I would have used it, but not
I'm
like
sorry,
I
man.
could've-
No, that was my fault.
It's not like I would have been able to figure that one out until you told me, though. So, oh well.
9 damage to the little slime monster. So yeah, your greatsword, it's masterwork now, and it's kind of got an extra sharp gleam to its edge. And yeah, you pull it out and swing at this slime, and you kind of your sword hits the rock beneath him, and he kind of goes into 2 bits, but the 2 bits meld back together. Next is Apothim.
I step up and I swing because there's not really much else I can do. I really hope this thing doesn't kill me. Here we go.
14. That hits, and you do 3 damage.
Piercing.
Hang on, dude. I had to reload the game.
Chaz, I'm not seeing you on the initiative order.
No, it dropped me out, but my window froze.
I'm not sure where he was before.
I had a 6.
I guess I'll just let you roll it. Oh, okay. Then you probably should have just gone instead of Apothim. Oh, we'll plunk you in there.
No, I would have delayed my turn anyway, so let Apothim go.
Yeah.
Oh, he just went, so then you can go.
Okay. I'm gonna shuffle on up to big blocky boy here.
Slime boy.
Slime boy. and I'm gonna swing my big blocky warhammer at him.
Not the flail.
Hell no!
Oh, you still got your shield? Okay.
I'm saving that flail for someone special.
Special. Ooh. So yeah, Chez's warhammer comes and it's a big cubey slime, and you sling the warhammer sideways, and it kind of like gets stuck in the slime. Well, luckily you're strong enough and you can like yank it out. But yeah, you like kind of rip out a chunk of the slime with him.
That's the sound it makes. My name is Chez, and I rip off the Adventure Zone every chance I get.
That's okay. Next up is Espy.
All right.
We all rip off everything.
We're going to move forward to it, to the big slime. I'm going to go ahead and spend one of my Magus points. Get that going.
That does a thing.
Not until I get hit.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason, it's only 2 rounds, so you have to spend it to pretty much get half, and then you have to maintain it. But anyways, spend the 1 point, and then I'm going to just swing my sword two-handed. As soon as I bring up my sheet.
You didn't get a shiny new sword, did you?
Nope.
Oof. Okay, so that was a crit fumble. I need you to roll another d20. 10 or above, you're safe. 9 or below, you drop your weapon.
Here we go.
Yep. There's no point in me playing.
Well, you just gotta pick it up. I mean, you're doing good.
The dice hate
you
me.
drop your sword right there underneath you.
And the slime eats it.
Maybe you should have bought that better one. That's hilarious.
Did my boy roll in that one?
He did, yeah.
Ah.
When we agreed upon crit fumble rules earlier. Okay, so yeah, it's this little baby slime, and little baby slime is, he was trying to get Pat, but this big spooky guy came and just clobbered him, so he turns around and he attacks Urupar. But his slimy appendage just clanks off of your sweet, sweet chainmail, I think.
Yep. A little bit gets up in there. It's all messy now.
Yeah, it's kind of like wet and glimmering, but like you're fine. Next is Pat. You got a flank on this slime.
Yeah, I'm going to punch it to death. Punch an all day flurry of blows.
Okay, so your first attack hits and does a ton of damage, and then the slime is actually like so dead. Your second attack just like hits mush.
Hell yeah, dude.
And the mush splatters all over the room like Nickelodeon.
Hit it with that double tap just to be safe.
Hell yeah.
Next is the gray ooze. Oh, that's what it's called. It is
That sprite is not gray. Caught you.
I'm not good at Photoshop.
It's an ooze and not a slime.
Does a D3 a thing that this thing does? I bet so. The gray slime will grapple someone, but since it's kind of mindless, it's going to randomly roll. Apotham's 1, Espy's 2, Ches is 3. Espy, the slime
Of course.
attempts to grapple you. Two noodly appendages reach out, and he does.
Jesus.
It does provoke attacks of opportunity because he is not a skilled grappler. So I believe all 3 of you get attacks of opportunity from that.
I would need something for punching.
I would.
Oh yeah, I guess
I'll roll
you don't
mine
get
first.
anything as feelings out.
I
I mean, I could still punch.
You punch him, but I think it's like a -6 penalty for not good with your fists.
I hit.
Well, I mean, what else? I mean, what difference does it make?
You could crit
Yeah,
fail
'cause-
again.
So both of you hit.
Drop your
Yes.
gloves.
Wait, I hit with that?
Yes.
Wow.
They're slow.
But the slime still does reach out and grapple SB. And now I gotta consult my goddamn flow chart. But I got this.
If he takes damage during the grapple, it breaks the grapple.
Yeah, you are now grappled, which is
Oh.
a penalty that means some things. And on your turn, you can choose to do some other things. But that's pretty much how it goes. You have the grappled condition. Which means you get a -2 on attack rolls. You can still attack and stuff, right? But like this dude is got his slimy appendages on you, and
Oh, I'm actually in a perfect spot.
okay. And then next up is Big J.
All right. I can't do much, so I'm just going to take a double move. And 11 spots puts me right there. And that's it.
Okay. Big J, you've never seen him move so fast with all that armor.
It's just a chain shirt.
It's just a flesh wound. Bottom Europe.
I would like to try and tumble to this tile here.
Okay, it's an acrobatics DC. His CMD, I think we said.
Oh crap! I just realized that's probably going to be kind of high, isn't it? Do I get it?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Do I need to
So
roll
yeah,
it?
you move without an attack of opportunity from him.
Wait, I'm going to take my sneak attack since I'm flanking with Ches.
Okay.
And I miss horribly. Unless a 7 gets it.
So
5.
That's in that one, bud.
This is a quite
Oh, is it?
interesting conundrum here, right? Because
Oh, I did roll in that one.
no,
You're
no,
right.
no, no. So this guy has 5 AC. So
No, and that one is always a miss.
yeah, so you would have hit, but you actually miss, and you actually have to roll a fumble dice
Oh
now.
crap! That's
So that was like the worst fate that could have happened.
Oh my god! You gotta be kidding me.
Plus 4 hits, yeah, but not what it's a 1.
Oh, it
So yeah,
actually
roll
was
another
wrong. It's supposed to be
D20.
6, but anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter.
10 or above, you're good. Okay,
Yeah, I saved myself. At least it wasn't on the acrobatics check.
Acrobatics can't crit fail, so you're good. Ches, you're up. The slime's wrapped around your friend SB.
It's okay. This feels very comfortable. Surprising.
I feel like you're just sort of toughing it out so that no one thinks you're a wuss.
I mean, it's reaching me in
Um,
all places, and that nobody else ever does lately.
I'm gonna smack you with my warhammer. again.
You're not inside the slime yet, but yeah, so you're good.
That the consideration that he might have hit Taliesin doesn't seem to have stopped. Like, doesn't seem to have even mildly bothered Sigbert. He's just like, I'm gonna fucking hit it. And he does. He's 5.
Yeah, he does just barely kind of swing, and you real clumsily kind of looks like you can barely hold the thing, but you swing it and you hit the slime. Take out a little part of the juice. And yeah, is that your turn?
Your turn.
SB, you are grappled.
I already know what I'm doing.
You may make an attempt to break free of your grapple check as a standard action.
Nope.
Or yeah, you can do stuff.
Nope. He is grappled onto me, which
Okay.
means I can easily touch him. So, shocking grasp.
There is very much a bunch of mechanics about that, but I'm googling.
Yes, there is.
Wait,
And
wait.
there's bounce back. He gets hit by it too.
That's fine.
Okay.
Does it have
long
a
as you're aware.
somatic component?
You know, I noticed on these character sheets,
Yes, it
concentration.
does have a somatic opponent. So I guess this dude's just listing how it's not consistent at all. You can cast a spell with a somatic component if you have one hand free. But you're grappled.
I got 2 hands free.
Well, I don't know. You're grappled. Is that what that?
This means I'm grabbed. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm restrained.
Yeah. Okay. A grappled creature can take no action that requires 2 hands to perform. So you can cast a spell. If you're doing so, you have to make a concentration check. It's fucking.
I thought touch spells were different.
Well, when you're in this situation, you still have to cast the concentration because you're sitting there trying to concentrate on casting the spell while being thrashed around to make the touch to begin with.
Yeah, a grappled character who attempts to cast a spell must make a concentration check, DC 10 plus grappler CMB plus spell level. So,
Jesus Christ!
Holy shit.
Fucking
he has a
Pathfinder.
6. So it's 10 plus 6 plus whatever spell level. So probably 17 is
1.
the DC.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Algebra the Game.
Hell yeah, dude. I love math.
Do you enjoy sitting on stacks of perilously balanced math?
Yeah.
So do
17
we!
DC. You have to roll a d20, and that's a concentration check is 20 plus your caster level plus your ability score.
We're crunching the goddamn nacho.
We're crunching it.
The hell's my ability score?
Whatever spell you use to cast spells, I think for you it's your
The
charisma,
intelligence.
right?
Yeah, charisma.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's a
oh.
weird dude. Yeah, he's a weird
Oh.
dude.
Okay. Yeah, your charisma modifier.
So yeah, 2 plus 10. Plus...
Pass. All right.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you cast the spell, you successfully concentrate, which was pretty hard to do, really. And yeah, you can just do your shock and graph.
Yep, which is because you said it's based on level, not spell slot
It's
level.
per caster level.
So it's 2d6.
Well, doesn't he still? Never mind.
Yep, that's it.
So, okay.
Okay, 7 damage. The slime, yeah, you can tell that the lightning kind of was slime was kind of frying a little bit. He's kind of steaming now. And yeah, you're still grappled, I guess.
That's fine.
That's all you can do. That slime is dead. Pat, it is your turn. You are across the galaxy, friend.
I know. 1, 2, 6. We'll move behind Aruku and do double move, and then hold my turn.
Okay. Next up is the ooze, and it still has SB grapple. It can. I'm flowcharting. It can let the grapple go. I can try to tie you up, which is crazy. Or I can do something else, pretty much. Like I get you in a headlock, and I can do whatever. That's pretty funny. Or I can pin. I guess
thought-
pin is a different one too.
I was afraid the ooze was going to try to like absorb him. Or should I not have said that?
Oh, I ain't worried about that. I was
Yeah,
worried that
that's like the dude who in class who's like, everyone's getting ready to go home on Friday, and the guy's like, "Teacher, you forgot the homework."
This doesn't really have that, like, surprisingly. I kind of thought so too. It just
doesn't-
seems like it's really good at grappling, and it does.
Well,
Oh, I think it does acid damage, is what it
He
is.
doesn't really have homework.
that's what I was waiting to hear. Was it doesn't do acid damage because then yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Oh, so everything does 1d6 additional acid damage. So I should have been doing damage to you through the grapples, I guess. But that's fine. I'll just
Give me 2
I'm
1d6s.
learning. No, I'm learning. It's fine. I'll probably get you with it this turn. You can try to do different stuff. I don't see where the pin is. That's what I want to do is like pin.
Pin is their combat defense +8 or +10, I think. You have to really knock it out of the park to really get a pain
Yeah.
in the butt.
Oh, that's gonna happen. It's against me.
Well, this character might.
Okay, so
enjoy
yeah, the slime is just gonna make an attack onto Espy, and it's gonna do an extra d6 damage because he's like holding you. But his second little slimer hand is gonna come around and try to smack you. 8. I don't think that hits.
Nope. But I still
Okay.
take the 1d6.
And then you do still take a 1d6 when you roll that. 2 damage.
Yay.
Okay, that's Ooze. Next is Big J.
All right, time to smack this bitch. 1, 2, 3. Do a little slight turn. We're gonna power attack just because I want to be a dick.
It's okay, it works. And even though you rolled no damage at all, you did a bunch of damage. And yeah, that looked like it really hurt this slime. You chopped him in half, and the halves formed back together, but it wasn't very quick. And next is a bomb. Flanky bomb. And the slime kept on your
I'm
ground.
gonna flanky and stabby. So here we go. And a 1.
And
No,
2.
don't do a 1.
Ooh. And then that confirmed too. So why did the crit damage not double though? It seems like that's your calculator is broken or something. Like you didn't type in your crit damage, I bet.
No, I did.
Weapon.
Oh,
but yeah,
I
it
didn't
did
put the
7.
multiplier
Yeah,
in.
you have to
That's
put
what it
X2 or whatever. Yeah, so that is
Okay.
why the magic happens. So you
Okay,
did
so it's
14.
14.
You did 6 and 14, which is 20. And yeah, your rapier is like you take both. You just do like a crazy fast chop back and forth with both of them, like poke, super fast poke.
Uh-huh.
And you poke so much that the slime just becomes chunks, and he falls to the ground. And yeah, combat resolved. SP, your weapons at your feet.
I'd pick it up, of course.
And the room kind of calms down. There's all goes nuts.
Well, that was a nice little ooze bath.
So yeah, the slime, as you kind of chopped a bunch, he turned into a bunch of mush on the floor. And the mush on the floor has a bunch, it had a bunch of stuff in it, like it was digesting. And it's got like, there's like a metal cup, and there's like some rats, and even something that looks like a possum or something like that, but just the skeleton that's been kind of acided clean. But in there, you see 2 really shiny red gems. And the gems are worth 200 gold each.
Okay.
So
You
400
could split
gold.
that up if you'd like, or
I said we buy a little beer with that.
Oh
Personally.
yeah.
so that's 80 gold for everybody.
Yep.
Alrighty. Only 8,400 and some left until we got the magical weapon.
Hey, you know the price now. You get something to save for. Okay, so yeah, the slime kind of falls apart, and you pick up the gems, and they're a little bit spicy because they're a little acidic, but you can put them in your bag, no problem. And yeah, who would like to go into the next room?
I will.
I'll go.
I ain't no bitch. I mean, Espy, if you want to go first, you've been on a roll today. I'm not gonna say no.
Sure, why not? Let's get this going.
Okay, so you enter the next room, and you can see, like, from the doorway here, we're just gonna say, like, you're still in the doorway. There's this pedestal in the room, and at the top of the pedestal, there's what looks to be a fountain, but you can't really see up there. The pedestal has 2 or 3 stairs up, and there's a kind of looks like a bird bath kind of thing.
Ooh.
In this room, there's some furniture. There's like a bench on the wall. There's a lectern in the middle of the room that has like a book on it, and there's some bookshelves in the corner, and there's 2 doors leaving this room.
First off, you said there was a cup in that slime,
Yeah.
and there's a fountain here. I'm gonna go back and. Oh, bar! I need through.
Okay, the cup is just kind of a mundane bronze cup.
I don't
Looks
have a
like
cup.
It would hold water.
All right, grab the cup, go back over, go to the fountain. Wipe out the cup first.
Make a fortitude save.
All right.
It's
Yeah.
actually
So it
will.
begins.
No, it's a will. Sorry, yeah, will, not fort. I'm so sorry.
Doesn't matter. Even better.
Okay, you're good. Okay, so as you approach the fountain, you kind of looked into the water, and the water was clearly purple. And as you looked into the fountain, you kind of approached and you expected to see your reflection, but there was no reflection. And then a few seconds later, a reflection of yourself came into view, but it was murderous. And it had a knife, and it looked like it was trying to kill you. And for a second, you were completely terrified, but then you realized that this was just an illusion, and you snapped out of it.
Hey, that's nothing new.
Pick a
All right.
great time to roll good.
Well, I'm still gonna drink out of it.
What? I'm sorry. What?
I'm gonna dip in the cup with that purple drink and drink it.
Sigbert smacks the cup out of your hand with his warhammer.
I dunk my head immediately into it.
Sigbert looks annoyed for a second and then says, "In for a penny, in for a pound," and then holds your head under for a second.
Just let him drown. Just let him drown.
No, he seems to want the help.
Surprisingly, the water seems to not have any effect on SP.
Damn.
That's what it says. Those who make their saving throws are immune to its effect for 24 hours.
I'm refreshed. Sigbert, you want a drink?
Yeah, that was a trap called a pool of fear. Yeah.
Don't tell them that.
Okay, so yeah, in this room, there's still a bench, and there's like a lectern in the middle of the room, and some bookshelves, and two doors. What would you like to do?
Oh, what's the metal thing here?
That's a lectern. It's kind of like in college or high school when they had like those wooden things that you stand at and you put your book on and you read, like you give a presentation.
Is there a book on it?
There is a book on it, and
The book.
the book clearly, is like a visitor's log to this temple, and it just seems to have a list of names. Really, there's nothing else more names and dates. And
All right, I'll
you
put the
tell
book
from
back.
the dates that the book was kind of last. The last visitor here was about 5 years ago, and you can make a perception check.
Just start blindly reading aloud from the book and see what happens.
No, the Necronomicon. I got a 16.
The Necronomicon.
Between the pages of the book, you find a strange piece of paper, and when you pull it out, you and Ches both immediately realize that that's a scroll of protection from evil.
Oh. Ches, that'll be for you.
I take it and then laugh maniacally.
You're not the one with abyssal blood in you.
I mean, I do talk to goats.
Okay,
Yeah, and my relatives are pretty much demons.
What's on the bench?
Oh, it's just
a
a
place
plain
to
kind
sit.
of wooden bench, yeah, and you could tell that people. You can kind of suss out from the fact that there's like a fountain and a bench that this room was probably a welcome room. Like people would come to the temple and they would come here and probably take a little blessing and write down their name and
With
be prepared for the rest of the adventure.
With some trouble, because the dwarf is a dwarf, Sigbert clambers over and then climbs up onto the bench and has himself a seat.
Can I search the doors for locks and traps?
Yeah, neither of the doors seem locked. You could open them. But Ches, as you sit down on the bench, you can notice on the opposing wall that there's some engravings on the walls, and there's images of like slavery and like humans put into chains. And there's a picture of a slender human with light hair, you know, kind of looking at the humans in chains.
Oh,
And he looks like he's displeased.
what do you see, Sigbert?
Ches, you can make a knowledge religion check.
Okay.
What do your dwarven eyes see?
Yeah, you got skills. What are you gonna do about it?
And you did.
Not shit. Also, this has a check mark next to it. I'm guessing it's a class skill. I don't have any ranks in it.
Yeah, you
I'm
only
not-
you can't use it without ranks in it. if
Yeah,
it's
so
a
that
knowledge
roll is
skill.
ridiculous anyway. So
Yeah, -1. That's weird. Okay, I figured you're a priest, but
Nope.
okay. So yep, you can't tell anything else. It's just a kind of a short-haired guy looking at some humans in chains with a sad look on his face.
So
And yeah, there's two doors. There's a north door and an east door.
so we're gonna BDS beat. Eh.
Let's split the party.
Didn't you say there was books on the shelves?
No. That's
all
how
the
like
shelves
every
are empty.
horror movie starts.
I'm gonna just quickly scan through all the shelves, see if there's any books of interest.
Yeah, no, they're all empty. The only thing in the room was the book on the table, the lectern.
Ah,
that you got.
all right.
All right, let's open this north door. Let's make it interesting.
Okay, north door. Okay, so you open the north door.
Oh yeah, pick up my cup, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, how did that water taste?
Tasted like purple.
Grape.
Grape flavored.
grape drink.
Okay, so this is a room, and yeah, you can see that the hallway kind of goes ahead and takes a 90 degrees to the right. In the sides of this room, there's large, kind of ornate tables. They're kind of like the benches from the previous room, but they're made out of marble, and they're really just ornately carved. But the top surface of them is perfectly flat and raised. In this room, these tables are completely uncovered. Like there's nothing on them; they're cleaned off. But the floor around them has just tons of scraps. There's like vases, old flowers you can tell that are very dried and just crippled. There's a bunch of brass kind of candelabras and cups that are just strewn all about on the floor. There's smashed pots.
Well, if nobody's gonna take the initiative, I walk in.
On the walls, you can see more carvings. The carvings show the same man, and he's kind of has like a ball of light, and he's like handing it to like a human in chains. And now it shows another. There's another person standing there, like the same one you saw on the way in, the man with like goat hoofs, and he's looking at this, and he's obviously upset.
Can I roll a perception check for traps and check the door for anything?
Sure. I mean, yeah, traps.
Just trying to do my job. I don't think I see anything.
Oh, is that the 10? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't notice anything in particular, but the door is definitely firmly closed. Like you try to push on it, and it's not open. It doesn't open like the others did.
So that would be the part where I use disable device. And I have thieves tools, so I don't take any minuses. Can I attempt to unlock the door?
There's no obvious like hole for a key or anything like that. It's a door that has a latch that goes into the wall, but like there's a flange there. So I mean, presumably you could stick some thieves' tools in there and try to hit the latch directly, but it'd probably be a really difficult way to pick the lock.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna give it a try.
Okay.
I'm going to at least give it one quick try and then look around the room to see if there's another way to open it. Nope.
Yeah, you stick your picks kind of into the lock, and you hear a couple clicks, but nothing really happens. The door stays
Okay.
shut.
All right, to the other door.
Is there no buttons anywhere? Do I not see anything? Can I like take a 10 to search the walls and stuff?
We can go jump.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can see that clearly there's piles of debris all around these tables, like cups and broken pots and things, but there's nothing on the tables. The tables seem like maybe this was an offering room or something, but somebody's knocked all the offerings onto the ground.
Let's go jump on a table.
What kind of material is the door made out of?
The door's made out of like white granite.
Damn.
Big J, do you want to get on the table?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. When Big J gets on the table, the door to the right opens.
Hey, all right.
I
right,
look
now-
through the doorway.
Bird movement.
Big J, are you staying on the table?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on the table.
Okay. SB, you went through the door, or who went through the door?
No, I'm just sitting outside the door.
Okay,
I'm just
you're
trying to see
standing
down
next
the
to it.
hall.
It's an open door.
What's down the hall?
It seems like a room. There's kind of a shriny room you can see there, and there's a statue in the distance and some pillars.
Uh-huh. What happens if Big J or what
Yeah,
happens
jump
if-
off and see what happens.
All right. Oh. Wee.
The door slams shut.
Yeah.
All right, we need some weight on that.
Let me. I'll do it.
Well, could we collect?
Maybe the cleric should go with the party.
Yeah, I have an idea. Let's take all the junk from all the tables and put it in one spot on that table over there.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, so yeah, you spend some good minutes collecting like pottery shards and brass jugs and putting them all on the table.
Can even
It
grab the
takes
book
effort to
stand.
make a significant pile of junk. But once you get enough of it on there, the door does open.
Okay.
All right.
And yeah, the next room.
I hide behind the pillar.
One moment. So this room is a large ornate hall. Down the middle, there's kind of like what looks like a red carpet, but it's so dilapidated that it's just scraps now. And there's 4 pillars in the middle of the room that are white pillars that go up into the sky. At the end of the room, you can see that there's kind of a staircase. There's 4 or 5 big steps that go up to an altar. And this looks a lot like a place that people would have come to have like some kind of religious ceremony. In the room, you can see a large bronze statue of a woman holding a scimitar. And you may make a perception, knowledge religion check. Everybody. Even if you don't have the
Knowledge.
That's what got me these Ferraris. Knowledge.
knowledge.
You know what's even more valuable than my Lamborghinis? Knowledge.
So, Ches, you paid attention when you were at the previous church, in between your bouts of drunkenness, and you recognize this immediately as a statue of Saren Ray. It's a beautiful woman with like orange hair, and she has a big scimitar, and she's holding it up like she's like ready for combat.
Zozo also recognizes this.
That's Saren Ray.
Okay, and as you all enter the room, initiative.
Oh yeah.
A bunch of skeletons suddenly animate. To the south, you can see that there's a bunch of skeletons that were probably people who were praying at one time.
Okay, I'm keeping one feature of I'm keeping one thing from my previous character sheet, and I will swap out the domain power. I had domain life.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
okay.
you did.
which
So
was
that's
channel
okay.
positive energy. So I'm keeping that because
Yeah, I didn't know. I just picked something that I figured
yeah,
would
no,
be good for
you
combat.
are totally fine. And
Cool. That works probably a lot better anyway.
Okay,
'cause
so
aren't you
feel
trying
free
get
to
more
roll
damage?
initiative, friends.
I was gonna start complaining about how I didn't get to hide, but I don't really think it matters at this point. They're undead.
it didn't drop me in.
No, maybe you don't have the macro ready.
Wait, hang on. I'm not using the right macro.
Oh yeah, if you use the character sheet one, it'll work. Damn, I can't name my stuff because it shows up in this goddamn list. But that's okay. Okay, so yeah, you enter the room and a bunch of skeletons just kind of like they come out of nowhere. They kind of appear. And first up is this guy. He charges at Big J, and he does his 2-claw attack. No, he does a scimitar claw attack with a +2 on the first one. And he actually rolls a natural 20, but he did 1 damage, so he does two damage.
Ballin'.
And how did he? He rolled a 0 because he rolled a 3 minus 3. So yeah, you take 2 damage.
You little bitch.
The other skeleton charges Ches and does the same thing. He gets a 15 and an 8. What's your AC, Ches? I think you're good.
What? What's my
is your
AC?
AC 15.
My AC is 16.
You good? Potham, you're up. Yeah, you can see that there's like 4 skeleton guys that were probably like laying there in prayer. There's a skeleton in the corner that has a crossbow, and then there's 2 skeletons that look like mages near the altar.
Can I 5-foot step from here to here?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna use both my weapons.
Okay.
And a 1, and a 2, and I miss.
Yeah, the movement rule said the first diagonal step is 5, and the second diagonal step is 10.
I don't really care too much about the diagonally rules because it's not really fun to keep track of that stuff.
Okay.
So I'm probably just gonna say that this is a weird like non-Euclidean world where you can just do it. But yeah, you missed. He has more AC than that. Next up is this magician. He's up here and he holds his hands out in front of him over this altar and he kind of says some weird words you don't understand. And his hands glow with purple energy and he casts a magic missile at Ches. Ooh, and that hits for sure.
Yeah, you don't roll. You don't roll an attack for magic missile.
You don't?
Nope.
It just hits.
Yep.
Okay, my bad. I thought it was a touch range touch, but. And then the damage is 1d4 plus 1, and it does 3 damage. I'll put that in for you. Next up is Jets. I think you're lined up for a really dope maneuver.
Hang on. What's the length thing? Hang on. There it is. Yeah, I'm a 5-foot step this way, and I'm a channel positive energy, so I need all of them. Yep. I need all of them to make a will save.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Two.
How much damage?
I'm about to roll it. 2 damage.
Doesn't positive energy
Well,
also
you
heal
have
us?
it, right?
No, I can only choose one purpose, one or the other.
Personally, I think this is better than the turn mechanic from 3.5 in Dungeons and Dragons. It's
What
a
is
lot less complicated. The turn undead mechanic.
this. I mean, I have turn undead, just as a cleric, but channel positive energy is a feature of the life cleric.
Well, from what I was reading on the character sheet, it seems like that's just a thing that the
Yeah, I don't think
cleric.
that's clerics just get that, bro.
Yeah,
Damn.
according to I got the book in
Sigbert?
front of me. But anyway, whatever. Details,
Well, if you got the book in front of you, I can't argue with the book.
The skeleton charges at Chaz, and it does 2 claws attack. What's your AC again?
16.
Okay, so yeah, both the claws miss. They can tell that you're like delicious and holy, but they just can't claw you.
I might be delicious and holy, but I'm off limits.
That's you're up.
Caden Kalian owns this booty.
Now, I want to ask you this because we had this conversation before and you said it was weird. I am capable of casting a spell and then moving, correct?
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, I mean you can cast a spell and then move, but then you can't like attack unless it's
No, now I remember the conversation. It was movement, attack, movement.
Yeah,
Oh,
you can't.
it's over.
You can't do that without spring attack.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a feat for that.
Anyways, I cast shield on myself, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4 is in 1 minute.
Yep, and then that's it.
Pat, you're up.
5 foot step.
Gonna do
Yeah.
The flurry.
Yeah.
Tongue fury.
Boom. And boom.
Bomb.
A boom, a bam, a boom, bam, boom.
Boom. So your first attack hits. And does 9
Elbow in
damage,
the
tons of
back of the
damage.
head.
And yeah, your fist hits the skeleton just so hard he just disassociates into bones.
You hit him so hard he disassociated.
One punch.
One punch!
new
Next
episode-
is the
new episode
skeleton
tomorrow.
mage here. The skeleton mage is in melee with SB, and he doesn't really have anywhere to go. He's going to try to cast magic missile, and there's
Cancelled.
an attack of opportunity from you, probably, right?
Nope. Well, is it the magic missiles towards me?
Yes.
No, then it's automatically canceled.
Why?
Shield
That's it.
blocks it.
It's- That's actually like one of the key features of Shield is that it actually
Oh.
deflects.
Yep.
Magic missile.
Okay.
So
Well, there you go. I mean, you win. Fuck yeah, this dude, he's like prepared to cast this spell. He still provokes an attack of opportunity from you. He's an undead mage. Like, he's been studying the magic, but he's not really that smart.
as soon as I saw it that first time, I knew what spell to get.
Yeah.
It's a really good spell. I think in 5e that's actually a reaction that you take, and it doesn't last the full round, but it's like really
he did not
evasive.
hit. But yeah, he casts magic missile and nothing happens. He kind of shrugs. And yeah, this skeleton runs Pat and does Scimitar Claw. Scimitar crit misses, but the claw hits. So let's just say you take the 3 damage, and then he'll roll for the Scimitar fail. 10 or above, he succeeds. So he does not drop his, I guess, claw, but he would have dropped his. No, Scimitar. You took the 3. And that's it. Next up is this crossbow guy. He's in the corner. He got really messed up by the Chez's magic, so he aims at Chez, and right around the pillar, and yeah, it's
Right
a
off my
terrible
shield,
miss.
motherfucker.
Ah,
Yeah,
you
it just
suck.
completely misses. He hits the pillar. Next up is Big J.
All right, Bear, stick with me here. I'm gonna move here, and then I'm
Okay.
also gonna move here, and I'm gonna take the attack of opportunity from this guy.
Okay, he's just gonna do the first claw attack of this attack. 17,
Yeah, that's a hit.
4 damage.
4 damage. All right, and then I'm gonna swing at this one.
Oh, cool. Okay, are you using your cleave?
That would be the plan if I hit.
Wait a second. Cleave must work really differently in this.
Sadly, your first attack does not hit.
I figured.
Yeah,
Cleave
yeah,
just
yes.
said as long as it hits, you can hit an adjacent foe.
Oh wow, that's so different than all the other versions of that I've played. Because like in 3.5, you have to get the kill to cleave into the next guy.
Yeah, this one he has to hit, and then you can try to hit the next one.
Wow.
Next up is this guy who's dead. Next up is this guy that you just swung at, and he swings at you again with his
Great
scimitar
cleave.
claw. And yeah, his attacks just clank off your armor.
For the cleave, because it says I take a -2. Is that regardless or only if my first hit succeeds?
Take a -2.
Yeah, you take a -2 to AC if you perform the action. Is from what I'm reading in the book currently.
I mean,
But-
both those attacks are going to miss anyway, but I just wanted to know.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, -2 AC for the next turn.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, do I still
Yeah,
take the
so
minus?
what's your AC?
It's
now?
15 as a base.
So then it's 13 because of that for now, right?
Well, what we were asking was because I didn't do the cleave because I missed my first attack. Do we still take the -2?
Yeah, you still used it.
Okay.
Just the like attempt to use the cleave is using it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's when you use the feat. Period.
Mhm.
Autumn, you're up.
Interesting. Cool. I'm gonna do an acrobatics check. Oh wait, no, I can't sneak attack these guys. They can't be flanked. Never mind. I'm just gonna swing.
Both attacks?
Yep.
Okay, so the first attack goes wide, but that second attack hits. And even though it was kind of a grazing hit, it hits the skeleton right at the bottom of his neck, and his head just kind of like bonk, 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 off into the distance.
Oh, sweet.
Bonk, bonk, bonk. Next, there's the skeleton mage, and it saw its friends shoot the purple at you, so it's like, no way, man. And it takes a couple steps over here, and it casts magic missile at Chess. Nice and in the front. And yeah, you take 4 damage.
I feel like you're supposed to get 3 of those.
You get 1 per caster level.
Oh,
Yep. And this guy is not very strength. Not very caster level. As you
Okay.
can tell, because it's written in their goddamn name. I didn't know the names were going to be public. Ches, you're up.
all right. Well, I'm feeling real positive. So will saves.
Whoozers. Oh, jeez. Okay. Just do your damage.
Hey.
Feeling real
1,
positive.
2, 3, 4, 5. What was the DC?
The DC for that is 13. So 2 of them failed outright. 2 of the swordsmen failed outright. The rest of them
I'm
take
just
2
rolling
damage.
swordsmans for all of them to make it easy and just going
Yeah.
number wise. Yeah, they really don't like that. You can tell all of them in the whole room, they're kind of like burning and sizzling, and they're all giving you nasty looks with their glowing eyes. And this guy could claws you. 2 claws. 19 AC.
19 hits. So that's 4 damage to me.
4 damage. I'll put it on you. You're up.
Have to hit me harder than that, mate.
All right. Now I'm gonna activate or use my spell, or not my spell combo. Spell strike, which is the -2 to attacks, where I can infuse my spell and all that full action. All right. First, I'm gonna swing. So -2 on the attack AC.
Okay.
So
19, that hits.
19. That's
And
9.
that does 9 damage.
All right, and then I'm going to use Shocking Grasp and infuse it.
He's dead.
Oh. Well, shit.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. You can still shocking grasp him if you want and not use a spell slot.
Double tap.
Really cool. I promise.
Well, I'm just going to infuse it into my sword and just...
Oh, you're saving it for later. Okay, that's pretty cool too.
Funny as
Well,
hell.
that works.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. You're good at hitting them with lightning. Pat, you're up.
Well, that was just a regular hit.
You're good at hitting them with lightning. There's a guy on my
More
friends
double
list who's-
fast.
There's a guy on my friends list who's 88 minutes into a Risk of Rain 2 run.
Yeah, they last a while when you're on hard mode. Pat, your first hit just like clobbers the guy right in the skull, and again, just like Urugbar, like his skull. These skeletons have particularly poorly attached skulls, and they just kaplunk off like into the distance. And full attack. That was your turn. This mage is dead. Swordsman is dead. This crossbow guy. He sees Pat back there in the back, actually, kind of punching his friend. He saw the skull, made him notice Pat, and he takes aim at Pat with the crossbow. 17.
That hits.
Okay, 3 damage.
Wouldn't he have some cover?
Probably. I'll take a note to look into more cover rules, probably. Cover is really just a percentage chance. So let's say he's got like 50% cover rate. I know rules.
Where did you do my health?
9 or below. So 9 or below, he hits. Yeah, and I did your health, 3 damage.
Oh, so back.
So yeah, I'll try to keep track of cover more.
No, I was just wondering because it was kind of a weird angle.
It's kind of like stuff like that at the expense of the speed of the combat, Big J, you're up.
All right, this little bitch gonna die.
Yeah, I need to learn that better, so I'll take a note.
I think he's dead.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see you did 23. Yeah, your greatsword just chops him right in half. He only had a sliver of life left. And yeah, his bones just turned to mush. Powder. You can still move if you want.
Yeah, let's go move up here because this dude's a little bitch too.
Leave him. He's mine.
I'm just gonna chill right here. We're good.
That was cool. Vatham, you're up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I swing. Yeah.
Your rapier goes true, and luckily you do just the right amount of damage to just pop this mage's skull off like a soda pop. Oh, and that guy's dead. Chez, you're up. There's only one guy left.
I'm a channel positive energy to heal this time.
Nice call.
Everybody heals for 6.
Ooh, that nice heals. Everybody heal themselves.
That's a fat heal.
Back to full.
Heal.
2, 4, 5, 6.
SB, you're up. It's just the one crossbow guy over there.
Now, can I go across the dead skeleton guy?
Yeah.
Alright.
It would be really epic if you like combat slid over the altar, but it's also
No, I'm not gonna risk that.
Just fucking Bo, fucking Bo Dukes
it
it.
would be pretty epic, but okay.
Alright, now, since I don't have to take the -2 this time.
You just like touch attack, right?
No, it's infused in my weapon still.
Oh yeah. Fuck.
So now I'm going to do it with a 2-hand since I can do that now. Going to swing at it, please. Oh, God.
yeah,
And miss.
Your really cool lightning sword does not hit the skeleton.
Lightning's still there though.
The lightning's still there, Pat. You're up. You got a rock to throw or something? Gonna get like one of those skulls.
Can I opt to do that?
There's rules for that. It's like improvised ranged weapon or something.
Yeah, it's just an improvised weapon. You take a -4 to the attack, but you can still throw it.
What do I hit to throw a skull? Because that sounds awesome.
You just roll a d20 and then add your.
Yeah, -4 penalty. So yeah, just roll a d20 plus your base attack bonus plus your dex. I can help you.
Dex is +2.
Okay.
So you got 2 plus your base attack bonus is 1, so 3.
So
And
roll.
then you get a -4 penalty on it overall. So you roll a d20 and you get a -1 to try to hit that skeleton. So 10. Nope, 10 doesn't hit. You throw the skull, but the skull kind of like hits the back, hits the pedestal behind him and shatters into dust. You can still move.
1. Just gonna move to the other side of this pillar.
Next up is the skeleton. He sees he's totally outnumbered, but there's nowhere for him to go, and he kind of like puts down his crossbow and he swings a claw at SB.
Miss.
SB, you got lots of DC, yeah. So his claw does not hit. And Big J, you're up.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Uh, 15 hits and 13 damage. The crossbow man just turns into bits, and all that's left is his crummy undead crossbow.
The crossbow itself is undead.
Yeah.
How much HP does the undead crossbow
It's-
have left
it's-
after 2 channel positive energies?
It's still alive, but it's undead. Okay, so yeah, the combat kind of settles down, and these were all undead guys, so they didn't really have anything of value except some crummy crossbows. But you can see here that there's this big statue of Sarenrae, and you can notice on the wall next to it that there's more carvings about religion. And this one kind of seems like it's an image of like peace and hope, and like as the guy with hoofs is kind of like laying down his weapon to the humanoid with short hair that you saw earlier. And it looks like some kind of peace treaty or something. You can make another knowledge religion. Ches. You're a fucking cleric. You should have this.
And listen, okay, I didn't.
Nobody else cares about religion but you. Roll the dice.
Actually, monks care about religion more than
I guess
clerics.
you too. Yeah, you could too, Pat.
I don't
Okay.
know why you got to generalize that way, but okay.
Well,
I'm sorry. Did you just assume my religion?
did you just? Yeah, you're wearing a robe.
I'm not wearing a robe. I'm wearing chainmail.
Nope. I guess I don't give a fuck about religion today.
Okay, yeah, no, you actually got it there. That was the DC. Pat knows. Surprisingly, Ches doesn't. But Pat realizes that this is Ihus and Asmodeus, and these are the 2 prime gods in Golarion, the world you're in. This is kind of like God and the devil.
Oh shit.
And
I mean, shit.
This picture shows like the devil setting down his weapon at the feet of like God. Right?
Yeah, share all knowledge that I just found.
Well, you kind of recognized it, right? The statue and.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so you can in here. There's nothing really left. There's a bunch of bones, and behind the altar there's a door. Yeah, what would you like to do? Also, everybody make a perception check. Sorry, that's kind of funny.
I'm gonna have to stop soon. It's
Yeah, I know. We're ending soon.
Yeah, natural 20.
Natural 1.
I search for corpses and stuff, or search the corpses for loot and
Oh, you
stuff.
searched for better stuff than that.
I look at the dirt.
I wonder how I can make this actually show. I guess I can do this. Opossum, with your skilled perceptive techniques, you noticed in the side of the room that there was a rock that didn't quite look like the other rocks.
Oh?
Oh.
I walk over to the rock. What is it?
And yeah, the rock kind of just gives way at your push, and inside is just a small hallway. At the end of the hallway is a box, and the box is open already. You can see the box is way too small, and standing in the box is a scimitar.
A scimitar. That looks fancy. I put it in my bag.
Cool.
I put it in my bag.
Okay.
Is it magic?
I mean, yeah, you just put it in your bag, right? You want to check it out, or you want to put it in
Yeah,
your bag?
let's check out this scimitar.
Yes, it's a clearly magic scimitar. It's kind of made of bronze or some kind of like dull metal like that. It's clearly a very fine weapon. It counts as a masterwork scimitar. Engraved on it are some lightning bolts, but you're not sure. Like, you've never seen an engraving like that, so you're not sure.
Nice.
I wonder if this would actually be better for SB.
Hmm?
This sword I just got.
What is it?
Scimitar's crit on 18 to 20, and this is +1 accuracy.
Maybe.
A bronze scimitar with magic stuff on it. I come out,
Okay.
hey guys, look what I found. I flash it around.
Okay, would you guys like to go to the next room?
Yeah, let's push this door open. Yeah.
One moment.
Seriously, guys, I gotta go.
Okay.
This is over in like probably 5 minutes here. Not
Okay.
even. Sorry, I'm loading. Okay, so in the next room, you open the door, it opens freely, and you can see that it's a large circular room with a ginormous kind of pedestal in the middle. The pedestal, I mean, obviously there's these two huge statues that are like 50 foot tall, and since Pat told you from the last room, this is Asmodeus and Ihis, and it shows Asmodeus with a spear, and the spear is inside Ihis. And you can tell, something's terribly wrong. There was some kind of betrayal. The previous room showed him setting down his weapon, and this room shows him stabbing him with it. On the other end of the room, though, you see kind of between the legs of the statues, you can see that there's a man over there, and he's in shining armor, and the armor's kind of light and strapped to him, and he's mostly bare-chested, but the plates kind of cover his muscles, and he has a large glowing lightning sword. And behind him is one of the crystals, one of the same crystals that you saw in the town before. And you all need to be like in the entrance of the room, please. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, as you enter the room, the guy across the room notices, and he looks through the feet, and he gives you one of the nastiest looks you've ever seen.
That is the nastiest look I've ever seen.
And he calls out, "You fools! What are you doing here?" And I need Pat to make a will save.
One second, loading. Lost my sheet. Will save? Well then.
Pat, you hear a voice in your head. And the voice in your head, you're not sure where it comes from, but you feel like you don't have control of your body anymore. And the voice of your head kind of seems like it has control of your body. and it flexes your muscles. It tightens your fists and it tightens your legs and kind of hops up and down, and it says, "You call this purity? You are not worthy to praise Irory." And Pat's eyes turn purple, and the gem in his forehead also turns purple. And that's the end of the session for the week.
Oh, fucking right.
Cliffhanger.
Got ourselves a cliffhanger. I'm super excited.
Well,
I'm also
bye,
super
Pat.
tired.
I'm telling you now.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
also
sorry,
super
Chaz.
tired. No, you're fine. You're
I
fine.
tried
It
to
don't matter.
estimate that, and it took like twice as long as I estimated.
But that being said, we will talk more about this later. You guys have a good night.
You
Have
too,
a good night,
Chaz.
Chaz.